Now we're going to start building our category segment. As far as you can see, that would be the category segment where we can see the laptop finder. So it's kind of badges at the top. Then we're going to have the feature categories directly coming from our database. And maybe you're going to see some ads is running. So never mind that, it's just an earning sources. And by the way, if you're feeling this project is really like helping you to learn a lot, you can also buy me a coffee. The link, it will be in the description. And don't forget to subscribe the channel and please do like the video. So first of all, what we're gonna do here, because this category it's gonna all coming from the backend structure. So first instances, okay, the category we didn't create yet, it should be just need to be underlying here. So what we need to do here is that in the home we're gonna create a simple component which will be home categories. So let's say home categories .tsx and rafce to just get that component run, and here we're going to import that should be home categories. And of course you need to import the module from the category segment. So first of all, how we're going to have all of those category, because as you can see right here in the product segment, we're having all the we should have all the product structure which we need to, like as you see, I changed the project structure, so I have each and everything. But what you need to do is that what I said already, the images is already there, so you can see the images. If you cannot find the images in the GitHub repo, then of course the link it will be in the description where you can find all the image sources. So these are the image categories which you can directly upload from here and start using it. So now in that instances, as we are having the home categories, how we can take the categories directly here. So first of all, we will call the categories, especially here, it will be something like that. Const categories is equal to should be await, and we're gonna write a function which will be get categories. RIES. So that's the function which gonna not like that, should be get categories, CATEGORIES. So categories, it should be something like that. Why is coming get enable categories? It's annoying. Now of course, as we are having that await, we need to make that as a asynchronous function, as we need to talk to our database. Remember, we have a file here called the leave here, so not the leave, actually the Sanity project here, and in the queries we're gonna have writing all the queries, then we're gonna parsing the queries right here. So over here what we're gonna do, we're gonna like doing something to build up our categories. Now the category segment can be having a lot of parameters, so we need to make it in a different scenario. You can either write the query here, or if you like, you can also write the query directly here. It's up to you how you want to define your query. So first of all, as the first one, we did it right here. Also, I'm going to topple it one here so that you're going to understand that also you can write the query right here. So I'm going to just make that const. It should be get categories, and over there, it should be also a asynchronous function. Over here, we're going to just take the quantity as a parameter, which should be as a string, or you can say it can pass as a number. So we will know how many categories we want to bring back and how many we don't want. So first of all, I'm going to create a note like that, should be try catch block. So try catch, try catch, yeah. So in the catch block, remember the way we make the console log, so we're gonna do the same thing. So catch block, and over here after the catch block, as it gonna serve an error, so we're gonna just pass that our categories should be as an array of categories. So we're gonna pass the array empty array if we are getting any error. So this could be something like that. Now what we need to do, we need to pass a query parameter. Let's say should be const query, it should be is equal to, I'm gonna go with that quantity. Okay, because if quantity is there, then you're gonna pass something. Like if we pass the quantity, you're gonna pass one value, otherwise you're gonna pass a several value. So this should be an entertainment procedure. So if we are having the quantity, we're gonna pass similar like that. If we doesn't have the quantity, we're gonna serve something like that. Of course, I'm gonna explain what actually we are doing that one right here. So in depth, what we are doing here, as you can see, whenever we are passing a certain quantity, what we are doing, we're passing the type of category, and we are making everything as an order ascending, and we are just taking the value from 0 to whatever the quantity we are passing, and from there we are just providing all the data, and also we're getting the product count, which particularly should be getting the count as per the category. Of course here is not using, but whenever I'm going to click any particular category, as you can see, we should be seeing that one right here. So from there we will be assigning that in future. So that's how it gonna render, and this how it gonna work. So this is the view which gonna be generating right now. So then whenever we doesn't have a a quantity, as you can see, we are not spreading that quantity. We are directly passing and just reviving that value. We are passing everything like from the all of the quantity like category data, and for the product count we're getting the count, and the product and references is according to the ID. And after that what we need to do is that we will provide the instances which going to be, let's say, const. The data, it should be coming within an object. So we're gonna destructurize that data, and from there I'm gonna make that await, and we're gonna use that sanity fetch. And of course we can use similarly here, and over the fetch first we're gonna pass the query, and the query should be the query which at the top. Remember, this is the query which we have been written for that. And after the query we also gonna pass the params, and in the params we gonna be passing if there is a quantity, then we're gonna just deliver whatever the quantity we are passing. And of course you need to pass that within an object, otherwise it will be a fallback true. So should be quantity. Is it not coming quantity? And otherwise it's gonna be as an empty structure. So this is the way we're gonna just retrieve the data, and that should be how we are importing and rendering that. And from there we're gonna pass the return, and if the data is, we're gonna return the data. Otherwise if there is no data, it should be just passing an empty value. So this is how we're gonna render actual structure. So we're gonna just simply need to import that categories. Okay, there is some problem here, because remember, in every individual setup we need to import directly from here and the export value. You can also write the export at the top. So get categories. Now right here we will just call that function get categories, and of course we need to make the log, and the log should be, let's say, passing that as a categories value. Okay, so this how it gonna be pulling that things together, and we should be able to render that. What is that categories? Okay, quantity was provided, so we need to be enable, like as you see there is the type error is there. It's saying okay, there is the categories should be like that. Okay, it's saying that there is like expected to 1 arguments but got 0, and the argument is that, remember, we are passing a structurable value as the params as quantity. We are make it mandatory, but we will pass it as an optional. That quantity may be there, may not be there, because we handle the data right here. So right now if I save, I should be able to see the structure of the quantity. You see all the quantity data right here, but there is a problem, and there is a catch is that, okay, let's see if we can get the type here. So if data any type, you can see the type is any. So remember, we need to run that command which will be npm. So you can just simply check at the packages, which should be npm run typegen, npm run typegen. And by the way, if you are following the video as long before, like after a few months, then maybe some of the packages maybe not compatible the way we are doing the work, we are following the work, then you can check the veracity, like if the package is up to that. You can copy the entire package to JSON, and there is a website called that package updater. The link, it will be in the description. So you can come here over it and you can paste your JSON. Also you can upload the JSON if you have the JSON file, and then analyze the package. So what it gonna do, it gonna analyze all of the packages held, like I'm doing it right now. Maybe you are working with it after 4 months, so the packages, it will not all will be up to date yet, and there would be certain kind of things, certain kind of scenario which you may have some error. So you can come and analyze the packages, like how many package, how many update you are just in behind. So you can easily come up here and then can update. As you can see, we are having a major update right now as we are building this structure. So the major update, we need to do it. So you can see the differences here and also the value here, so which the update version should be. You can just simply copy that and you can replace entirely and just npm install, or there is a guideline by which you can follow. You can run npm update or earn update, then it's gonna start updating that. So this is how you can just have a simple understanding, and you can see the major update which gonna be types node, and of course you can just check the package scenario and go through it. Now also there is another portion is there which can be really helpful, like if you don't want to update, you can analyze your entire data. In that way you can see the package health. If you are not having the update, either it gonna be having a problem or it will passing an issue to you, so you can just get the understanding whatever the problem you can face, and that can be having coming with the theme toggler, so you can have like theming portion and others. And this website is fully responsive, so you can have your view and you can understand each and every single segment. And after analyzing the entire data segment, now you can see the critical updates, you can see the package scenario, and in this way you can compare if the update is required or if whatever the packages we're using, if this package is good or not. So this is the one is calling the package updater. You can search in the Google, but no worries, the link it will be in the description, and it's calling simply that package updater.reactbd.com, the one which I made for you, so it will be easy for you to understand. So let's go back to work. So now here in the categories, as we define all the types, you can see generated TypeScript types for 11 schema types and 1 grok queries, the queries which right now we have been written. And if we come back here, as you can see, okay, I think it will take a bit of time to go with that. Okay, so categories still in any, I don't know, it should generate the type. So even it's not showing here, but we can simply go with directly in the Sanity types, and you can see here as far as going so far, we should be able to get all the types right here which is generated. So we can now render the type within our application. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna pass that type within our home categories, and we're gonna do that simple trick which gonna be categories, and we're gonna pass our category data directly there. So categories. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, first of all, I need to copy that one, and here we're gonna go within the home category segment, and here we're gonna just simply pass that home categories, and of course we need to define that interface, the property which it gonna be underlined. So it should be interface, and we're gonna define it as a props, and over here we're gonna pass that as the value should be the categories, and the category value should be category which gonna be coming Sanity type. That's it. So okay, where is the G? Categories. Okay, it's my bad. I think I am having some of the typo mistake here, so I'm gonna just replace that categories, and also I'm gonna remove that one here, and I'm gonna come back here and just replace that categories simply like that, and that should be coming from the props. That's it. So now we're having been to able to get the props. Now what we need to do is that I'm gonna go and align with that. So first two instances, we need to get that laptop finder and other parameter at the very top. So we're gonna render it by creating an array of structurized data, and I'm gonna just put that at the top. You can also publish that in your constant folder so that it could be easily to be featureable. Did we create that data folder? Okay, if we just structurize all, no, we didn't create, but you can also write it here. So yeah, that should be not a problem. So I'm gonna just pass that as a data, and that should be an array of data which gonna have some of the object. First one going to be a title which going to be passing that as a laptop finder. So finder, and der finder, and then we're gonna also pass that description. So it should be description, and the description should be aligned together on that. Let's say it will be find your, or you can just make like that, find your laptop easily. Okay, and after that it should be having one, let's say it gonna passing an icon. So I'm gonna pass that icon, and that icon should be a laptop icon from Lucid React, and over the laptop icon we can simply pass that whatever the height and weight it can be passing through, and of course we can also pass that at wherever we are going to topple that. So first of all we can also pass the class name. There is a multiple way you can handle. So first of all you're gonna make with height should be 5, and whenever you're gonna go in MD, which should be 6, and MD height should be 6. So this is a kind of one particular object. So in that array we should be have 4 objects together. And in the for object, what we're gonna have that we're gonna have first of one is that to getting that laptop finder. Second one, it's gonna be having that so-called raise complaint, share your experience, and then we're gonna have a chart area icon. And the third one, it should be also having that online support, get online support, and file question icon. And the last one should be getting that service center, which gonna be repair your device, and having the setting icon. And all the icons need to be coming from the Lucid React icon. You can get icon from any of the libraries, up to you, but I'm using the Lucid React because by default that Shadcn UI is providing that, so I'm not mingling with any others. Right now, what we can do here, we can, you see that instead of the div, we're gonna render our container, which gonna be having all the our parameter, which is the max weight and other. So you can see it just getting within the view. So right now we need to also make it a little bit better scenario. Put a class name, which gonna be margin top should be 10, and of course whenever we're gonna hit an LG skin, bigger skin, margin top should be 20, and we're gonna make it rounded MD. But rounded MD maybe rounded MD. Okay, so that should be something like that. Okay, cool. So I think that can go through the scenario. I think rounded MD is not doing any purposes, so we can just remove that extra class name, because as we're not showing anything there. Now after that, within that particular container, I'm gonna take another div, should be here, and on that div what I'm gonna do is that, remember we have the data, so as we need to pass that the pure JavaScript within that JSX syntax. So I'm going to use the JavaScript parameter, and then from the data, we're going to map through that. Everything I'm going to take it as an item, and over there I'm going to return. And of course you need to put that first bracket, not the second bracket, then you need to pass the return value. So always put the first bracket here. Then within the first bracket parameter, I'm going to have a div. So on that particular div, we're going to have a span tag, so span. And that span gonna first one take that head of item.icon, and as we are doing that mapping, remember every single map should be having a key, and that key is responsible to providing the data, like from which line and which length the data is just having that. So every item key should be having a particular and unique key, and here the title is actually having the unique portion. So as you can see, that's the data is rendered. And after the span tag, we're gonna having another div, which gonna passing that h3 tag, and h3 first it gonna be item.title, and then we're gonna have a p tag, which going to render item.description. So this is should be similar of this portion. Right now we need to make it looks better. How we can do that? Put a class name, so should be class name, and I'm gonna make it as a grid. By default the grid column should be 2, so by default the 2 card will be seen, and MD I'm gonna have that as a portion of grid column of 4, so that would be the value. And then I'm gonna put a gap of 5, and whenever we're gonna hit that M, and margin bottom should be, let's say 12 from that instances. So after saving that, we are right here and we're almost capturing the portion, so we need to make it much more better. Now on the div itself here, as you can see right here, we're gonna put a class name. I'm gonna make it a flex, and after that item should be center, and also justify should be center. Okay, done. So everything should be in the center align, and MD justify should be, let's say, baseline. So whatever the base is finding through, it can be go and create the baseline. And I'm going to provide a gap of 3, and over hit MD gap would be, let's say, 5. And background color should be fully white. And after that, we're going to make rounded should be MD, and we're going to pass a border, and border should be let's say it's gonna be take orange. So I think we're gonna have that color take orange, and we're gonna pass that 20% of the opacity, and whenever we're gonna hover, the border should be, let's say, take orange. I think, yeah, take orange, and we're gonna provide a full stage, and we're gonna also pass the value of hover effect. So right now, as you can see, I think we're gonna having the hover effect there. So let's go in our globals.css. Did we create that? Yeah, we are having that similar hover effect, so it can easily render and shuffle it here. Right now, as you can see, there is I think we can also pass a padding of 3, so that should be calculate a little bit of space, and you can see a bit of room. Now whenever you're going to smaller screen, okay, looks nice. Fantastic. So now there is some of the portion which we need to work on. For the span tag, I'm gonna use the background color should be take orange, and of course the text should be white color, so that could be having a little bit of glitch, and padding of 2, rounded should be full, a entire full rounding parameter it will be there. And for that div instances, I'm gonna use no class name. You can also use without div, you can use the empty braces if you like to, but div is the best way because as we are using the flexible value. Now for the h3 tag, what we can do, it's gonna be a title parameter. Text should be sm, and md text should be base text. Let's say base parameter means how many pixel here. So you can see right here it should be, if we go the text of base, text y, yeah, 40, no, it's not the one. Font size 1 rem. I think I'll make a little bit smaller to see that. Yeah, it's 16 pixel, 1 rem. Okay, so right now as we have that, also we need to make certain kind of choice, that which going to be, let's say a font, I'm gonna make it as a semi bold font, and then I'm gonna make it a tracking white, little bit of spacing in between. That's the similar like that. And for the description, let's say first one should be, text should be, let's say sm, and by default it's gonna be hidden. I don't want to show it in the smaller screen. Only lg should be inline flex, should be inline flex. Okay, that should be something nice. So if we go here, as you can see, so that should be supported in a good way. I think you can see it, you can show it if you want it to, that doesn't matter, but yeah, you can show it if you want it to, but as you can okay, it's totally hidden. No, I don't want it that. So yeah, you can show it if you want it to. Okay, I think that's good. This looks good. So I think we achieved the similar pattern, similar design. So now we need to go to bring back our feature categories. So this is the div which are hosting that particular instances, the one parameter which we have been just created for our little bit of intro. And now here we're gonna create our feature categories. Okay, so we're gonna have another div, and that div gonna be having a title. Did we create the title? No, we didn't create a title, but we can create a title or we can create a text component. That's up to us. So here I think I'm gonna create, okay, I'm gonna create a title, as I'm just keeping everything a camel case. So title. So this title, what it gonna do, it gonna render some of the default parameter of style. So as you can see here, we can just simply go past that everything as an interface should be coming as a property of props. And over here, I'm gonna pass the children right here, which going to be react.react node. All the children can be calling on that particular type, and then class name, which going to be optional. If there is available, then we're gonna pass that as should be coming as a string. So now over here we're gonna just simply pass that every single value from the props, and the prop should have our children and then our class name. And instead of particular that div, I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna use an h2 tag which gonna have our whatever the children we are gonna provide within that particular parameter. And then we're gonna have a class name, and I'm gonna use the cn from the each sleeve. And then first instances, it's gonna have, let's say it's gonna have the text of 2 axle, and then font should be semi bold, and of course it's gonna take any class name we are providing to it. That's it. So this is the simple title we are having that. So right now we're going to just call that import the title. Don't import that Redis. So you maybe have confused regarding that import statement, so be careful once you're importing. So over here we can now pass whatever the title we are going to passing that. So should be featured categories. That's it. So we should be able to see the text feature categories. And by the way, I don't in my channel there are more than 60 countries people are watching and viewing the videos, and I have a request, because you know the certain situation is not good, the Iran, Israel and USA, the war is going on. So from wherever you're watching, be careful and be safe. Okay, that's my request. Be safe and be I highly recommend that you learn coding more than ever. You curve for it, especially for coding, learning AI, because you know the real fight where is happening. So from your own native view, try to learn more coding, learn more about AI, study it. Everything is free if you want to study about the coding, about the AI. all you will find in the internet. So try to learn as much as possible, which can help you in the long run, very long run. So be very conscious about it and learn whatever you can. Doesn't matter only the coding, learn anything possible which can be having a very good return in future, and try to invest through. Okay, so let's go back to work. So here we are having the title. After the title, we're gonna have a p tag which will say get your, I'm gonna just keep like, okay, get your desired product from feature category. Okay, so now this should be two statement here. And so what I'm gonna do right now, put a class name here. I'm gonna make it text should be center align, and of course I want to provide a gap, so should be space, should be y, and that should be 1.5, which can be, I think it should be calculated as I think 6 pixel, yes. And then margin bottom should be 5, and MD margin bottom should be 10. Okay, like that. So if save, after saving that, we should be able to see it should be coming at the middle, and that is rendering. So now this is our time to render our categories. So I'm going to take another div here, and here I'm going to map through our categories, and from the categories I'm going to just map through it, and everything I'm going to pass that within a category parameter. So category, and the similar way I'm going to return it. And first of all, I'm going to return a div here, so that should be a, let's say, div, and within the div I'm going to return a link parameter, so link, and it should be coming from the link. And over here we're going to render within a parameter called image, and that image should be, let's say, first of all we're going to just render the link, and that should be href. And over the href I'm going to go with the backtick portion here, because we're going to go / category, and / we're going to go and particularly put a dynamic portion, so category dot slack dot current. So whatever the item we are clicking here, as you can see, that will get the current category of that particular instances. So after that, on the image parameter we're gonna have that, let's say, put a source, and that source should be URL4, which is gonna coming from a Sanity lib. And over here we're gonna pass that our category, not the categories, should be category dot image, and from there we need to just dot URL to get the URL from there. And this is a kind of type of thing Sanity is providing, so we need to go and follow that instances. And after that we're gonna have that, let's say, alternative tag, which I'm gonna pass that as a category image, and also we're gonna pass the weight, should be weight of 500 by 500 I'm gonna capture, and height should be, let's say, 500. And also I'm going to provide a class name which should be entirely taking the full weight of the parent, because we are rendering within a div, and also height should be the full height of the parent. Now still you can see, even we are calling that, there is a problem here, that argument of type asset reference type weak boolean, it can be undefined. As you can see, it's rendered but their error is not going. So what I'm going to do here, before rendering the particular instances here, so as you can see, after motioning through, so I'm gonna just I'm gonna specifically capture that, and I'm gonna say if we have that category dot image is there, and we want to render, and I'm going to render within another div here. Okay, that's it. So now of course we need to provide a key. The key should be, let's say, it should be category dot underscore id should be the key. And now you can see this is right here, but it's not so good, because remember we need to provide that within height over here. And in the class name, which we're gonna provide that width should be 10 and height should be 10, so 40 by 40. And of course we're gonna do some more, and MD, which should be, let's say, 12, so 48, and MD I'm gonna provide a height of 12 too, not like that, should be 12. Hit save, so that you can see this is right here is rendered. And of course I want to make that overflow hidden, because there will be some of that animation. I think you can see here, no, I think overflow, yeah, that should be okay when you not go that. Okay, now on that div instances which we are rendering, like mapping through it, put a class name, margin top should be 5, and then again the grid column should be by default 4, and MD grid column should be 8. Okay, and then I'm going to provide a gap which gonna be a 2.5 gap, should be accelerate properly. So now this is the portion which we are creating, and after the image there should be something called a text parameter too. So after that, after finishing, I think, yeah, so we can go with that, like after mapping through that, this category image portion, if I just small that, so here I'm gonna having a p tag which is going to pass that category category / title. Okay, so that should be rendering the text parameter. Okay, cool. So now what you're gonna do, put a class name, text should be extra small, and md text should be small, and then I'm gonna make a font should be semi bold, and text should be center, and of course I'm gonna make it line clamp 1. Even you have the bigger text, it will not exceed more than 1 line. Now still this is not looking nice, not look something better. Why? Because remember, as we did here, so this is the div, and this div particularly having the id, so we need to make something for that. So background color, I want to make it white. Padding, I want to provide a 5 padding, so it should be 20 pixel. And then I'm going to make it a flex. Everything should be coming as a flex column. Item should be center, and then I'm going to provide a gap of 3. So now you can see bit of nicer, and looks good, looks good. So it would be more good after putting all the class name parameter. And then I'm gonna make it a group, require that group. No, I don't want to make it group because it would be simply that. Around it should be LG, and I'm gonna put a border. First, the border should be the transparent border, and on the hover, the border should be, let's say, I'm gonna make it a take orange, and I'm gonna pass that hover effect parameter over there. So you can see there is a border, but on the hover, okay, now it looks nice and clean. Okay, that's, as you can see, the line clamp also working here perfectly. So this is the one which we have been dealing with. Now for the header, as you can see, the header is toppling, something is just moving through from the top. So let's go back to the header. We can just simply fix that. As you can see, we need to provide a z indexing parameter, and the top z is 50. I'm going to provide a 40 here, or I can say I can provide a 50z also, and if you just hover that, the z50 is the z index 50 value. So now you can see it can be capturing perfectly. So now if we click for the earphone, and as you can see, it's gonna render the page, and if it will go through directly to rented and a 404 page. So I believe it's gonna start rendering. So if we just open that, okay, no, yeah, I think we didn't make, did we make that? Yeah, I think, yeah, we need to click here. Okay, so as you can see, category mobile accessories 404, but having this kind of error, like it's not a good practice for any of the application, because we always need to pass a perfect and good, a proper message which can have some meaning for the users, right? So to make that meaning very carefully extradite, so what we can do, we're gonna just overloop all, and you see the auth client admin all. For every single route and parameter, I'm going to create a simple route which should be not found page. So .tsx rafce, that could be generating a not found page. So every time it's happening, you're gonna come back to in the not found page, and as the layout is complexing over here, so I think in the layout it doesn't have that header footer. You can just simply find the text, so we will render something very similar by which user can have a very good idea where they are and how they can go back and make that things pretty aligned. And to do that, what we're gonna do, first of all, we're gonna make a class name. So background color, I think the take white color is there. Yeah, you can put that also. I'm gonna make it a relative, and min height should be screen. Okay, now after that, after this initial portion, I'm gonna having like a go back icon should be there. So that's gonna be rendering the user to go back. So, and that should be a use client component. So I will just create a separate file here where gonna be a common, and we're gonna use that goback.tsx or fce. So that will render the go back. First we're gonna like initialize the thing, then we're gonna make that happen. So the go back portion, so as you can see, that's the go back which we need to create. I'm gonna close some of these which is not required, and the index. Okay, after, so what kind of things can be happen to the GoBack. So first of all, what I need to do, we need to make that one, we will use the router. So const router should be use router, and of course you need to import it from the Next navigation. And after importing that, whenever you are using the router, it's a client-side property, so of course, and every time this React import not required, you can just remove that. Is coming in badly because of that RAFCE. And of course, we need to make that as the entire components as the use client. So that's why I keep it separate. Otherwise, the entire not found page, I need to make it as use client if I render it there. So that's why I keep it separate. Now, what it's gonna be there? So here, I'm gonna simply render a button, and on that button should be, let's say, chevron left icon. I think that one. Not like that. Should be chevron. I think left, only left. Yeah, not left icon. Okay, so that would be there. So you can see one icon at the top. So what it's gonna do, first of all, I'm gonna make that one a class name. It should be an absolute portion, absolute LUT, ABSULUT. Yes, from the top it should be let's say 5, and from the left should be 5. And MD, I'm gonna make it a top of 10, and MD should be left of, let's say, 10. Okay, that should be there. And after that chevron left, there should be a span tag can saying go back. So this should be aligned all together. To do that, put a class name, and I'm gonna make it a flex. Item should be, let's say, center. I'm gonna provide a gap of 0.5, having a bit of gap. And whenever we hover, text should be, let's say, take orange, and we're gonna make that hover should be cursor, should be pointer. I'm gonna make that hover effect. Save. So that's okay, that's what we are rendering. If we hover, you can see the effect is right there. So once we click on that, so we're gonna make that on click event. Every time we click, it will just go that router dot go back. So doesn't matter from which router we come, we will go back to the same router. That's what it's for. So if we click right now, we should be go back to our home. Even we didn't mention /home, because if we go like from the card and then it gonna initialize, directly go back to the card. So it will go and back initial premises. And of course, I want to make the size of the icon, which going to be an 18. I think this one, you see, if we click here, I think we can make one more portion here. So you can go in the home categories. Here, I think we just put that link in the image, right? I'm not gonna put in the image only. I'm gonna put this entire segment. And how you can do that? First of all, I'm gonna make it as a relative parameter. And over here, after that, I'm gonna make that one as in the link, which going to be a link of, let's say, self-closing link. I think it can be like that. Yes. And over here, I'm gonna make that one class name, which going to be, let's say, I'm gonna make it absolute, and I'm gonna make it inset, let's say 1. So it's gonna be making sure entire portion. Now whenever I click, it's gonna go through. So as you can see, the hover effect is running. So whenever I click, because it's gonna matching with entire segment with an absolute value. Because if we just hover through of inset value, you can see it's okay, there is the inset one, and that's the absolute value. So making the position absolute and embedding everything within inside. So now let's go back to our not found page. So in the not found page, as we are having the go back portion down after the go back, and I'm gonna having another div here, and the div gonna contain a lot of information about our parameter, about the lot of scenario which can be making a sense later on to you. So I'm gonna first generate our logo, and for the logo, put a class name. First of the width should be 48, and also I think I'm gonna make it MX Auto should be coming through in the center align. Is it coming through? Yeah, it's coming at the top. Okay, no worries. If we just go over here, if we just type something, we should be seeing that's the one which we are looking forward to have. That you can see it's very simple design and simple structure. So that is the building block to create. Put a class name, and that should be max, which should be MD, and MX Auto, just to put everything in the middle. Okay, max with auto. we did that, but still no that much change. I think whenever we do that, yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap that within another div. Yeah, because I need to keep it center aligned. And how we can do that is that I'm going to provide a height of full, and also let's say min height screen is already there, so it will take the full height, and I'm going to make it a flex and flex column, and item should be center, justify should be center. I'm going to provide a padding x should be 4, and SMPX should be, let's say, 6, LGPX should be 8. So it doesn't matter, the PX, it will not work that much fine, so I'm going to just make it padding x of 4 because it will not capture that much area. So right now still you can see we have height full, but we're gonna also mean that min height should be screen, so it's gonna be in the center. So if we are putting that, we can just remove that min height because already provable things we are having right there. So what we can do after the logo, as we have the logo, we're gonna have another h2 tag which gonna be saying looking for something. It's just passing a very relative and curious messages for our users. So put a class name, margin top should be 6, and over here text should be, let's say, 3XL, font should be extra bold, and after that text should be gray of 900. So as we're not using the theme, we can go on and on the way we are looking forward to. Okay, we are getting the similar passion. And of course, for the div instances, as we made the things, I'm gonna put a class name. I'm gonna make every single text, whatever happening within that parameter should be center aligned. So after that h2 tag, we're gonna having a p tag should be, let's say it gonna passing the message should be we are, and sorry, and there should be the web address you entered is not a functioning page on our site. You can put something like that, but you can also make that, you see the web address, you can see the address, and then you can just put that span. Remember, we already take the path name. We can use the path name here just to show which path they are following. Then you can pass the path, but I'm not gonna do that. So it's just a contradict that you can actually define whatever the page you want it to be defined. Put a class name, margin top should be 2, and text should be, let's say, small, and text should be gray of 600. That's it. So this is the kind of things which we're gonna generate, and that's the same thing also running here. And after that, also as you can see, that's R. Whenever you're gonna deploy that inversal, you're gonna have that error, and you need to use kind of correctors which are going to be and oppose. So that's the corrector which can work for that. So and oppose, the same thing it's gonna do, but in a different way. After that p tag, so after that initial div, I'm going to take another div. Here I'm going to take one more div which going to render our link, and over the link we're going to have a text should be saying go to shop tech, and of course again that and oppose, and there should be homepage, and over here the href should be should be /home. So now we need to make that one looks nice and clean. So first of all, let's go at the top layer, and that should be taking a to separate button. So margin top should be 8, and then space y should be, I'm going to provide a 4, so for 16 space y should be there. Put a class name, I'm going to make that rounded should be MD, and then I'm going to make a shadow of XS, extra small shadow, and also that space y should be 4. For this one I will make it 6, so we can see the changes. Now for the link, we need to do a lot of class name parameter here. First we're gonna take a width of full. I'm gonna make it a flex. Item should be, let's say, center, just to keep it in the middle. Right now still we can see it gets the center align, and then we're gonna make the justify should be center. So I think this time this time it's gonna be center, and padding x should be 4, padding y should be 2, so it's gonna have a little bit of padding and other layer of the blooming. I'm gonna provide a border should be first instances, it's gonna be transparent, and let's say text should be small text, and I'm gonna make that rounded should be MD, and text should be white, and background color should be I think the tech orange. Yeah, I'm gonna use that tech orange. And then whenever we hover, BJ should be tech orange, full opacity, but the first initialize it gonna be having a 80% of opacity value. Okay, so if you just come over here, you can see that should be something like that. And after that also I'm gonna make that, let's say there can be did we use the font semi bold? Did you use that? No, that's why the text is not so look good on that. So this much can serve the purpose, but you can add more on the effect if you wanted to. Like you can have the focus element if you wanted to, like whenever the focus outline hidden, focus ring 2, focus ring offset 2, focus ring Amazon, that should not be Amazon dark. So I think that we can just make simply black. Let's see what can be done. You can see, so there is some kind of animation, and I see the black that thing is just coming within the focus ring. So that's what is creating. So this is the one button which can be just taking us to the go back, and there should be the another button within the same link parameter which also going to passing that to help. And as you can see, the similar kind of pattern, only then the background color is changed. You can also generate a simple components, the link components, where you can utilize all of those by default, and then you can pass that everything as a parameter. That's up to you, but there is a room, you can do it, and you now know how you can do that, right? So after the div, we should be having another div, and in the div gonna p tag, which gonna be say need help, and here we're gonna say visit the, and there should be coming the link section, which should be help section. It's just gonna passing some of the text parameter and nothing else. So I'm gonna just wrap that up to you so that you can easily visualize. So that should be another need help. It's gonna also passing that help page, help section, or contact us. We're gonna pass the contact. So this is the same thing which is render. You can just go back to our home page. So right now, as you're having that, it's the one of the biggest concern is now to bring back the product. So by that we can show the featured product and other data. So now we're gonna render, we're gonna create our product statement. Let's go and bring back our like for the product list. So bring the product, as you can see, we're gonna have the product grid and so many other parameters. So I'm gonna get everything within a div, and from the div we're gonna render each and every single segment. And here we're gonna just put a class name. We're gonna provide a padding y of 10, so the margin top and like top bottom we're gonna provide a like of 10 pixel, 10 of the like around for the 40 pixel gap over there. So now we're gonna get back our feature product. Okay, so it's gonna be very interesting to get back the product right here. So first of all, I'm gonna create a single component, like a single parameter, which can be like amplifying all of the product from there. So to do that, first of all, it will not only be used at the home. We're gonna use globally, like everywhere. So I'm gonna create it in the common folder. So that should be product grade.tsx. And by the way, as you can see, I'm maintaining a folder structure. It's a very complicated, but it's very easy whenever you are doing, and it will help you a lot if you are following that kind of a structure. You're gonna have a common structure, you're gonna have pages structure, header, UI. So as you can see, you can easily circulate, you can find out your documents, and sometimes you have your own weird way or which is more efficient, like same like me. Whenever I'm doing code, I have my own pattern, but this is the standard pattern we are following. So you can also use your own pattern whenever is required. So now I'm going to use that our product grid. So should be product grid. That's it. So now we can see here, as you can see, that's the product grid. So let's go back to our product grid. In that product grid, we are gonna be taking the product, and as we did that, as you can see over here, right now we are not doing any of that classification. We are just handling the product. So I think, yeah, but whenever we go back to shop, the same product grid we're gonna use, but it would be okay. So I think we don't need to make that as a client structure. I'm gonna make it a call in that, like for the same scenario. Now I think we can simply call the product. So let's go. So we'll just go back and get only the featured product, right? So first of all, over here we need to go in our, like for our Sanity, need to go back to our query. We're gonna write another query which gonna be amplified to get our feature products. So there only the feature product would be available, which is the each feature true. So that's where it's rendering all would be the feature product. So let's go back here, and over here before rendering that, so we're gonna just pass that const, which gonna be, say, let's say feature underscore products. And over here we're gonna just define the query, and within the query parameter I'm gonna define entirely the segment which is gonna be passing that parameter, and that could be calling that the type is that the underscore type should be is equal to product, is feature gonna be true, and then we're gonna render that. You can either grabbing the entire segment from here, you can copy it, you can come back here. I think I closed that our studio, so over here you can just simply pass that admin studio, and you can just run that query just to see if the, like, that could be helpful once you are having some issue, having some problem that data is not rendering. That time you can do those kind of things before like initializing any kind of like queries. You can always try in the Sanity Studio. Now from here we can simply go with the vision tools, and over the vision tools we can run the query. So I'm gonna just select that, remove it. I'm gonna just paste the query which we have been selected, and then I'll fetch. So there you can see every single product is coming here. We should be, you see the is featured is true. So that's the one that, like, all the product is just having that things. So that could be like that. So right now I don't want to go, I will just get that, let's say is feature, okay, feature, and it gonna render the value, see, is feature true. So this all entire product having is feature true. Now if we remove that query and hit enter, so now it gonna having all the parameters, so even the true, null, you see some is null, all the property like 20 products all are coming here. So that's how we gonna just reload back. So that's this time we're gonna just get only the feature product. So let's say feature products, and now we need to also, after grabbing that, we need to go in our index where we're gonna write our function which will provide that our feature query altogether. And to write that, that should be a very simple one. So it should be, let's say it should be declare a constant const get featured products, and that should be is equal to, we will make an asynchronous function, and from the function we're gonna simply make that a try catch parameter. And over here as you can see, I think this will be categories data, and either fetching feature products data, and on that try block we're gonna render that should be const, and we're gonna destructurize the data, because right now we're gonna simply here, as we did that, because the params is we need to define the query, then we declare that, but already we defined the param like the query. We just simply go with await sanity fetch, and over here we're gonna simply pass that query, and the query should be feature products. That's it, and we should be having the data. If we are having data, okay, otherwise just passing an empty array. And after that we're gonna pass that get feature products. That's it. So now our featured products would be ready to go with that. And by the way, if you're still looking forward that if you are lacking the documentation, you are always welcome to go directly in the reactpedia.com, and from there you can simply hover go through that project structure, and as you can see here all the projects is running. So this is the running one. If you click here, the link already in the description where you can find that GitHub repo, you can find the live, you can find the YouTube video, which the total playlist, it will be there. And of course you can also purchase the premium code, like the entire code base, entire code is right here, all the things which is the business ready product. In this platform the 3 people bought this, and there is I have like 2-3 platform, there's multiple people, student and others, they are buying it. And if you are like shorted of money but you want to buy that, let me know, let me try to contact with me, we'll give you a discount. So that's how you can go and grab that. Now for the product grid, we can just simply go here and we can bring back our product. So in that product grid, what we can do is that we're gonna bring in our product. So over here we're gonna just simply pass that const products. It should be is equal to, we're gonna make that await get featured products, and as we make it await, we'll need to make that asynchronous function. And of course, if we just make log, we should be able to see the products. You can just open your terminal, hit save, the data, it will be here. And as you can see right now, also the server side rendering you can see in the Next.js application in the client side. So it will also reload here. As you can see, we have total eight products, but right now here is too much product, but here is I think it's showing all the product, but I don't want to show all the product here, so we can just toggle through to make that as a feature positioning here. Okay, so that's what we did. But if you want to get all the products, you can just simply get all the products. We can also be able to done that. We're gonna make the things to happen, but right now for that feature segment I want to get only those mass product. I think that will be a good option to go. So to do that right now, what I'm gonna do, instead of the div, everything should be a container, and I think I need to make it similar. And over here I'm gonna have a div. On the div I'm gonna having the title. On the title gonna say featured products, and then we're gonna have a p tag, should be check and get your desired product. That's it. So that would be passing the message right here. And for the div here, put a class name, put a text, should be center text. Okay, done. And for the title, we can also put a class name. We can make that text should be LG, font should be bold. We can define the way we like it too, so something like that. Then providing the class name, the text should be, let's say we're gonna make a text of a small text, font should be medium. So now this is kind of things which we did. After that, we're gonna have another div, and over here we can map through our products parameter. Okay, now why we need to make it client? Right now still we are, because as you see, once we reload, you can see how the product is appearing, little bit of animation. Only because of that animation we are making it client side animation property. As you can see, this is coming a very sleek way. If you are needing that animation, then you need to go, but as you see, that application gonna load the product gonna load on previous instances, so no need that animation here. As you can see, so there the product, it will be loading directly, so no need animation. Even we make it here, only we need animation right here whenever we're gonna work here. As you can see, this time we need to have the animation and other parameter, but at the home page I think we should not needing any animation. So that's what my finding. But if you're looking forward the animation, you can make it use client, then you can use it. So right now I'm going to use a div. Over here I'm going to go back to our products dot let's say map. Every single thing I'm going to taking as a product, so should be product. And from there, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just passing a product card. That should be a simple component posture. Also it should be a common, because we're gonna use in separate possible scenario, should be product card.tsx rafce. That should be our product card. So now we're gonna just import that product card, and then we're gonna pass the key should be, let's say, product.id. Okay, we still not seeing that implicitly has any value, so we can simply pass that the product should be passing that, let's say, all. I think we can simply pass I think we need to render back the type, but we're gonna do that first. I'm gonna make that ID. I think that's the ID gonna reassure the things. You can see the product card is available right here, and for the product itself, I think, yeah, we can simply pass that here, product. That's it. So now we're gonna pass that. If you see dot, you can see all the value. Over here we're gonna pass the product, which is going to be passing our entire product statement. Product, that's it. So let's go back to the product card, and here we need to make a lot of things. A lot of scenario gonna come back there, and a lot of changes going to be there, so we need to make it much more clean, nice, and better. So first of all, over here we can just simply direct that product as it's just coming here. So the product should be a type of product. That's it, we got back our product. So previous instances over in the div, I want to make it bit of nicer so that it can be a clean parameter to go on. So over here, put a class name. I'm going to make it as a grid. So grid column should be 2, and sm also grid column should be 2. I think no need the sm, so by default the sm gonna capture. So md grid column should be 3, and for the lg grid column should be 5, and I'm gonna put a gap of 2.5, and then margin top should be 5. So similar of that portion. So right now we are having 8 products which are actually capturing that. So I think we should be bringing some more products for that one. So we can simply go in the products. I think we can make that featureable products like almost 15 to 5, 10, so we can make 12 or 13, because right now we are having 5, 3, 8. So 8 is it will not so look to go with that. So what and how I gonna change that? Remember, whenever you are uploading the product, you need to have that idea how you can do it and how much products you want to show it in that by yourself. So now if you can just roll back there, you can see there should be a toggle already. That feature is enabled. So I think we can also rearrange the shape by which you can also see whatever the product is featured or not. You can see it right here in the schema types on that product type. So that's the type which we are having here. So in that product type over here, after the media, as you can see, we have subtitle, we have title. Also we can take that is featured, which can be let's say it should be coming on that is featured. So from here we can just capture the is featured value, and we can simply pass that is featured. So this entire segment gonna be updated, and then we'll be able to see whatever the types, if it is featured or not, it will popping up. I think did we do in the right pattern? Okay, let's find out. We are passing that for the parameter which is feature, but it will not work like that way, because what Sanity is doing, it's just capturing some of the parameters, some of the value which you need to be do in proper way. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna pass that within the subtitle parameter. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna make that another parameter. So I'm gonna call that if is featured is enabled, and I'm gonna just render a simple like say a first bracket should be generating a featured product, so that I should be known which product is available for featured or not. So in that way it can be rendered properly, because it just taking title, subtitle, and then the media image, and then also you can construct other parameter, but I think within the subtitle value it will be perfect. Okay, as you see, featured, and here we can just simply pass that if featured is available. Okay, should be featured, otherwise let's say it will be null. So let's pass the empty, because as you can see the null value is initializing, which is not really good. So we don't want to show anything there if the value is redirected to be a null value. Okay, as you see, the feature and null is features is available, otherwise we can just pass that as an empty string. Okay, then the empty string gonna come, so it can be highlighted in that way. So should not be a matter on that. So let's see if yeah, okay, good. So empty string is not coming, so we know that one is feature, that one is not feature, so we can go back to that particular product. Then typically what we can do, we can now add that particular product within the feature item so that it can render instantly. So we can just come back here, and then I will just drop that one as the feature button. As you can see, we can toggle it like on and off, so that's the things it can do. And after, like, if you make it toggle on, so now the button is on, you need to publish that. So whenever you are changing something, you need to go in the publishing sector. When it's published is happen, only then the item gonna be changed. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just make some more items featured, then I'm gonna start fetching the product there. And I think for two particular line of that, two row grid, it will be okay. So now I have that featured. So let's go in the product grid, as now we need to work on especially for our product card. And as you can combine in the product card, if you just go back there, so you're gonna have a better understanding and approachable view how the product card gonna be. As you see on C hover, the animation effect is going on. Okay, that's not the shop tech, it's a shop card. So I just close that one in a bit, so should be shop tech. Okay, now here as you can see, that card is pretty sleek. As you can have the save button, we have the images, and also whenever it's not available, you can see, and the text we can, you see the unavailable, so means out of stock, the message we can pass. So the out of stock message is really good then. So you see that in stock value it will not come. There is some more glitch, but we can make it better whenever we are building that particular application. And you can see here, I have already 10 products rendered. So now let's go start building our product card, which will be a very interesting. So first of all, in that our product card, which gonna be a pretty cool one. So here, first we want to provide a div. Over here we're gonna render if we have that product dot images. Now the images is kind of array of images. If you just console log, you can see there is a multiple image instances is right there. It's an array of images. So right now we will get a single image from there just to showcase. So and we're gonna render if the image is there. Okay, not like that, should be within that, and I'm gonna provide a link. And now previously, remember, we used to have that normal our next image, but here also we can use our own like normal image ratio we can use. So I'll take the backtick / it will go back to product, then it gonna go directly on that. Let's say product dot slack dot current, not source, current. So it's gonna render within that parameter, and on that particular link I will take a normal image component, not for the other parameter, just an image component. And from there what we can do, we can simply get that image, right? So and that one which need to be, because it's a normal image, we need to concat particularly the image functionality which going to have in our Sanity image. Right now it's not available there. So what we can do, we can simply go in our Sanity. So or in that I think we will go directly in the Sanity folder. So we are here right now in the query. So in that direct structure, we're gonna write a simple functionality which is going to be, let's say, image.ts. Okay, so that's the functionality which can help me to render our image. So now I'm gonna create some parameter. First of all, I'm gonna create a builder, and that this is just because in the next image, as you can see, it's by default is created that one, and it's also captured over here. So if we just, I think it's somewhere, you can find it here in the lib, you see the image. Okay, it's right here. Okay, yeah, that's the build, that's the URL for is there. So this is the URL for which happen to be the builder image, but this is the default one you're gonna get. But we're gonna try to make a separate image which is not coming by default, but we can create something on that. So from there we can use the create image builder URL. So create should be image image, let's say URL. Okay, I'm gonna just import that at the top instead of jumping on that. So what we need to import, we need to import the create image URL builder from Sanity image URL, and need to Sanity image source also coming from Sanity image URL lib types, and that / types. Then we're gonna have the dataset and project ID from the env.ts file which we are running here. And this will work like a simple function here, which is just and this function like in that builder. So it will take an object parameter, and from there you need to pass the project ID, you need to pass the dataset by which it can work. Okay, so now we have that. Okay, I think we need to replace that, create builder image URL, and after that we also need to initialize, like we need to make a function which will be export. We don't want to make it a default, so let's say export function, and the function we're going to provide a name of image. You can put any name. I will just try to make it similar, and the source should be Sanity image source. So that's going to be the source. By default the property gonna come like that, and from there we're going to return from the builder, and we're going to take the image property, and from the image the similar thing which we did. So source, and the source we're going to make that auto, and from the auto we're going to pass the format by which it's going to actually pass the image format. So this is how we are going to combine without using that our particular that next image. We can also go through with that parameter itself. So now we're gonna just grab the image from a Sanity image, and over there we're gonna pass that our product /images, and as the images is the 0 index, also you can make it here. So like if you can make that const current image, you can just simply pass that, let's say product dot images, and from there you can just simply get the first one which can be the images. So you can also declare it right there, but also you can do it right here. So it doesn't matter, it's both gonna work in a proper way. And from there we're gonna declare the sizes, which sizes image we were looking forward to get it. And now as we get the image, so we can now define the size. Also it will take like, I want to get by 900 by 700. So that's up to you how much the variation you want to provide. Then I will provide the URL which going to render our first images instances. So now as you can see, we should be able to see the image. So that's the image parameter, and it's typically similar of that image parameter which you can see right here. So now we need to define it in a proper way to be making it looks better. So product image gonna be, and I'm gonna make it a loading lazy loading. So it will not go instantly just load that image for itself. So it will make those instances. Okay, so far so good. We got back our image, and also we got the parameter. So now how we can make it looks more fantastic. And to do that, as the top level of the div, we're gonna make the text should be a small text and rounded should be MD. And also I'm gonna make it as a group, and BJ should be take white. So that's the white color gonna provide. So it's gonna see all the images going to be shuffling as a white color. And after that, so in that div with a class name, I'm gonna make it as relative, and I'm gonna again as the group is already there, so I'm gonna make it overflow as hidden, because we're gonna have some substantial property. As you can see right here, I'm gonna pick it bring it right here. On hover is having the effect, but when the product is not available, you see there is no effect on that. I think that a 43-inch television, it also going to be unavailable for this parameter, as I'm just mapping through from this particular product. So this one should be unavailable. I think it should be null. Yeah. Okay, stock is 6. I'm gonna make it as 0. So I'm doing it purposefully, and it's a feature product. So as you can see, 43 images. So a 3-inch image, so that's the TV should be unavailable. So I did it on purposeful because we're gonna do some rendering over here. Now on the image, we can now make that, put a class name, and this class name I'm gonna render within a backtick because a lot of things gonna work. So with full, I'm gonna provide a height of 64. So that's gonna be actual height. Okay, 64. I think, yeah, I provide it 64 here. So it's 64 here. Is it okay? And let's say I'm gonna make it object contain. Object contain. Yes, now it's gonna be fine. Object contain, BJ already defined there. So rounded should be MD, overflow should be hidden. So no overflow, extra overflow going to be happening from there. And after that, also we're gonna make something over there which can be really meaningful for us. And as you can see, we can make some scaling, we can make some scaling. So I'm gonna do one more property which going to be, let's say product dot stock is available. Then we're gonna do something, and stock is not equal to 0, means we are having the stock. Okay, so then we're gonna having some of the class name, and after that we're gonna having some of the class name. If the stock is not equal to 0, means we are having the stock. So group hover, I want to make the scale which is going to be 105, which is going to provide a particular hover effect, and otherwise I'm going to make it that opacity which is going to be, let's say 50. Okay, so that's how it's gonna render the properties. So right now, I think we changed that. I need to make reload as we didn't already initialize the instances. So as you can see, the opacity there and that hover is working. And for that one, if we use that hover effect, I think the effect should take in place. Okay, yeah, nice. So now we know that's working perfectly. So now we are having that particular design segment, which is really great and really good to have that. So I think this also working. Yeah, in a both similar way we are making in progress. Right now, we need to work in some of the parameters. So after that particular image, we should have another div instances, and we're gonna pass that if the product dot let's say product dot discount and it's bigger than 0, means we are having the discount, only then we want to render something, and we're gonna render a p tag which gonna say save. Okay, so now over here that should be providing, I'm gonna just wrap it within a first parameter, and that should be as a number value. Okay, so that it's gonna be saying that there is, so that's the save value is right here. And after that, we can also make that one. I will make that as an absolute value, and from the top it should be 2. From the left it's gonna be not leading, from the left it will be 0. And z indexed, I'm gonna provide a 10 of z index. Text will be extra small, so xs extra small, and I'm gonna make it a border. Let's say border, and border L should be 0. So right border, it will not be there. As you can see, we are going to handle typically that parameter. As you see, right, there is no border because we're going to make a rounded effect here. And then we're going to make that bj should be take purple. Okay, take purple, and text should be, let's say, take white. Okay, done. You can see something is already cooking up. And then I'm going to provide that font should be semi bold, and also we can make that, let's say, border should be take dark, and from the dark we're going to provide a 50% of opacity. Rounded R should be full, so the right side rounded it should be the full, and padding X should be 2, just to provide a little bit of gap instances. So as you can see, it's a similar pattern. Now we need to wrapping through our contain. So after the save parameter, I'm gonna go, because we need to inject some of the JavaScript parameter here, because we're gonna use that math instances, and using the math we're gonna round the actual amount. So round, and from the round parameter we're gonna pass that to value. One should be product one should be product dot price, and that should be as a number price. Okay, as number, so that is the product price, and we need to multiply with that. We need to provide a multiplication to just and I think the best way you can follow is if you just to provide that instances at the top layer, all the calculation you can do it, and then we're gonna make that a product dot discount, and also it should be as a number parameter, and then we're gonna divide by 100. So we are having 80. Okay, so that's the 80 value, the first instances which is happen to be there. And after that we're gonna have an I think we need to provide a $sign before that, so we know how much we save. So save 80, and as you can see 80, so we are saving from that 159941, so that's the $80 we are saving. Then also we are providing the minus percentage, the actual percentage value, which are how much we are saving from that instances. And over here I'm gonna go and using the backtick in station, and then we're gonna go with that particularly, that should be a product dot discount, and of course we need to provide a minus sign to provide, as that could be a minus value because it's going to be minus from the actual value. And of course I want to provide a gap over here, so like that. So now this is the same parameter. I think the minus value, it will be good if we can cut it from there, and if we can add it here. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but you are saving the things. Whenever you can feel that you did that, that's excellent to be in part of. After that, we're gonna take our content parameter. So I will take another div, and over here I will go with our to showcase our product dot if we have that categories, and so that we can render a p tag here. And within the p tag, because we have an array of product categories, should be product dot categories, and we're gonna map through it. So map, and every single individual I'm gonna provide a cat, and the cat should be, we're gonna provide that cat, and after that cat we're gonna just join okay, should be like okay, I think, yeah, cat. And for every individual category, so we're gonna just render to join the parameter here. So it should be join, and we're gonna join it with let's say it will be coming with a comma. So if the category is more than one, it will coming with a comma separator. Right now we are having only one category, so it's fine, but sometimes it can be multiple category. That time it can do the work. So class name, I'm going to provide a padding of 3. I'm going to make it a flex column, and provide a gap of 2 for every single thing. Now over here in the p tag, let's put a class name. I'm going to make it uppercase, and then I'm gonna make it a line clamp of 1. I don't want to be more than 1 line, and extra small. Font should be medium, and then text should be dark, take dark, and it's gonna be coming up with a 50% opacity. So this is the parameter which we are looking forward, and now we are having it. And after that we are going through some more instances which can be looks much better. So after that p, we're gonna have our title, and on the title we are gonna simply render our product dot name. So that is a very sophisticated parameter which we need to work very carefully. So I'm going to provide a text of base text, and then let's say font should be semi-bold. It's already semi-bold. I think if you just go back to the title, I believe we provide the semi-bold scenario, so no need to use the semi-bold. So in that way you can reduce the CSS the way you can. So I'm going to make it line clamp. By default is 1, I will make it 2, and height should be 12, so that it gonna not go influentially. So as you can see, this is just gonna stick on that height, and I think even we don't put that height, yeah, but the height is rendered, because if the text is 1 line, you see that space, it will not be there, so your card can be broke. So that's why we are providing extra height, and the height you can customize the way you want, but height 12 means I think 48 pixel height, which is perfect for me. So you can check how much height. I think 48, it will be fine for you. You can see it here as 3 rem height is perfect for me, working perfectly. Okay, so we have done the product. Now we need to provide that stock and the price value. So there is a few more things which we need to work on. Now after the title, we will take another div here, and on that div gonna be a p tag, so should be in stock. Now this is the key value which we need to work properly. So here we can render it within an property. Remember, if the product dot stock, remember the way is not equal to 0, then we are providing something, and after that we are also providing something. So in stock, and that should be, let's say, out of stock. So that one should be out of stock, right? So this is how we can render, but previously we missed up that one here, but you know, we did it here. Now for that class name here, so let's put a class name, and now here whenever we are having that particular instances, let's say I'm gonna just go with a backtick. Let's say I'm gonna go with a backtick, and then I'm gonna render if the product, okay, I'm gonna go and grab that same commitment here. So it should be if like that, then or we can just make an n, and so the text should be let's say shop take dark red, so that it should be okay. Okay, should be is equal to 0. Yes, so you can see out of stock. So now As that parameter is done, so now we need to provide the key value. So after that stock, so we are still on that particular instances in stock value. So after that in stock parameter, we can have another p value here. So on that p value, we can just simply render if we have product.stock. So and that should be is now we need to render within a number value. So if is it should be as a number, and if it's bigger than 0, so that it can be having the value, and then we're gonna just pass simply, then it's gonna pass that product.stock. Okay, so if this is available, only then it gonna see is 17. So if not available, it's just out of stock. No need to show that whatever you are having that. So put a class name, make flex, item center, and put a gap 2.5. Similar gap parameter we are pushing. So you can see right here is working perfectly. So now whenever having this stock, I think we can make it a red mark, not the red, green mark. So class name, text should be whatever is that. We're gonna make that font should be semi bold, and a text should be, let's say we have light green. I want to make it green so people can easily visualize. So it's how I think from this approach, that one is perfect in that ratio. So you're going to have out of stock value, you're going to have in stock value, and you can simply decipher what value is there. As you can see, that card is not breakable, it's working perfectly aligned. Now we should have to be taking another portion, which going to be a, let's say it's gonna be for our price view. So price view, and it will be a common component because we're gonna use most of the time here. So that should be price. Okay, should be on the common price view.tsx rfce. So that's our price view is ready. Okay, so in the price view, I'm gonna provide a price. So on that price, I don't want to pass entire product. It's not a good practice. So whatever I needed, I will pass that only simple amount of that. You can pass and it will not crash the application, but it's better to have the actual top notch. And also you're gonna pass the class name. So whenever we can pass the class name, we know how it's gonna work. I'm gonna, for in this instance, text should be SM, small text. So right now you should be able to see our price view text here. Is it coming? Okay, we got that price view, right? But why we can't see the text? That is something we need to see. So that's the price view content component we are rendering. Let's just pass a p tag here. Okay, I think I need to reload. Maybe my application my machine just getting slower, or I believe I will close this one. So because it's both updating together, so that it can happen to be make slower my application. Okay, it's rendered. It just sometimes it's happened to be a little bit slower, so it will you may not face the problem. And also sometimes it can be the network hot frame reloading situation gonna be there. So now in that price view, we need to work a bit of thing. So as you can see right here, there is a certain kind of scenario. We have the price, we have the discounted price, both are working together fine. Now what we can do here, so first of all, in that div instances, we need to just grab the value. Okay, so we can just define that props property, which gonna be price, can be number or can be undefined, discount, which can be number or can be undefined, class name, it should be available or it could be without that. And we need to define everything gonna be coming from the props. So we have the props value. Now we can toggle through 3 of the value which we have. We can toggle through the price, we can have the discount, we can have the class name. Okay, fine. So now in that div itself, we can now define another div, and here we're gonna having that price formatter. So what the price formatter gonna do? Price formatter is gonna passing that, you see the dollar sign which you're having to be, like you want to make it a euro sign, you want to make a rupee sign, you want to make a taka sign, dinar sign, whatever the sign you want, you just need to change that currency value. It will automatically follow through your native value format. So this is what it can do. It's very powerful, inject a simple tiny function, but happen to be working a lot to make something better. So you're gonna make that formatter .tsx rafce. So that's the price format which gonna render us our price value. And what we're gonna do in that formatter, we're gonna pass some of the value which gonna be a amount value. You're gonna pass the amount. So let's say first one, the amount should be the price. So the price value, we will pass that. And also we're gonna pass the class name. Okay, should be class name. And on the class name, we're gonna pass that. For me, I want to make that one take dark rate. So that could be also defined on that particular parameter, amount and t amount. So now you can simply see that our price view is working perfectly. But okay, so we're gonna go with a formatter. Again, I think there is some kind of glitch over here. Okay, whenever it's loading, we can start finishing those promises. So now over here, instead of the div, I don't want to happen to be take a div. I will take an span parameter so that it can be easily customizable. And on that span, I'm gonna just first make instances value of 0 so that later on we can go through all the parameter. So now there we are passing two variable. One is the amount, which can be number or can be undefined, then the optional class name chain. Now over here, what we can do, we can make that, because right now we have two value, one and both value gonna coming from our props. So should be from the props, and the first value is the amount, second value is the class name. So what we can do, const, it should be formatted price, and the formatted price could be the price of that. We're gonna take a new number, we're gonna use the JavaScript instances, and from there we're gonna use the amount, and from there we're gonna make the two local strings. So we're gonna get the local string parameter, and from there right now we're gonna choose the en, and that should be US. So we're gonna take the $sign, so we want to make that one like that way. And from there we're gonna take the currency, and the currency should be the first instances we're gonna use the USD. And over there we're gonna take that, let's say style should be as a style of currency. And of course we okay, we're gonna also use that minimum fraction of digit, and that digit should be 2. So we're gonna just returning back to make things as a cent. So like that you imagine the Oman's money has a $1, 1 real is like 1,000 paisa. So the minimum fraction of digit should be 3. So in that is 100 cents for a $1. So it should be minimum fraction of digit should be 2. So now whatever the price we are passing, that formatted amount, formatted price going to contain the actual price value. So now you can see we have that 1599. So the first value, whatever the value we have been provided. So over here we can provide the class name, and we will go with that cn property, because first instances we're going to provide some of the class name. The text should be sm, font should be, let's say we're going to make that a font as semi bold, and also the text should be take dark, like take dark means the black color. And then also we're gonna take the class name, whatever the class name we are providing, and instantly you can see the color is just changed. So this is a pretty good example how relatively you can make something better and intuitively make it something very quick and very proficient. Now over here, if what I was just saying, like if you want to make that not USD but let's say EUR, okay, so you can see the currency change. It's just getting the euro. Like I don't want to make the language, I want to like our Bangladesh language, so it will drop that language. And also we need to provide that BDT. So you can see the currency as BDT. So this is how we can I think, yeah, so right now I think dollar is fine. Okay, so this is how you can change. So just try your currency. So if you are having any problem, if you're facing that the currency is not working the way you are looking forward, is not providing the data, let me know in the comments, and we're gonna fix that, whatever the problem you are arising or whatever the situation you are misleading on something. So let me know in the comments, we're gonna just jump on that and fix that instantly. So now we're having that price view. So as the first price is just done, so on that particular div here, I think we can just get another let's say, so this price is the normal price. Now we're gonna have a condition. If we have price, and then if we have the discount value, only then this calculation gonna happen. So there happen should be, let's say, formatted price, should be a price format. So should be price format. price formatter, and I think from here we're gonna pass the amount, and on that amount going to be price, and we will add the discountable value right here. Now it doesn't have a discounted amount, we have a discounted percentage. Now we need to add that percentage according to the amount, so discount into the price, and after that we need to divide it by 100, and okay, should be divided by okay, I think I am doing something wrong. Yeah, here. So it's gonna provide the actual price value. You can see 1678 and then go on. So it's just getting the actual property. Put a class name, and over here should be line through, and then we're gonna make the text should be extra small, and font should be, let's say I'm gonna provide a normal font, and the text should be take dark, and from there we're gonna use just as 70% of the opacity, and we are just right there where we need it to be. Now as we did that, we need to provide some of the gapping ratio or data pattern. So put a class name, make a flex, item should be center, and put a gap of 2, and as you can see there is 2 div is working fine. We think we can simply remove that particular div instances. I think text acts as, I think small text is looks fine because it looks not so good if you're putting like that. So now we are having almost all the data scenarios. So we need to have our one of the most important one, which is called our add to cart button. Now this button gonna be a very crucial thing here, because we are going to use that button almost everywhere. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna create a global component, should be let's say add to cart button.tsx RAFCE. So that's the button which we're gonna render. So here should be add to cart button. So now the add to cart button should be rendered, and on that particular add to cart button also we're gonna pass some of the property here. So first of all we're gonna provide the product, and we're gonna pass the entire product right here because we need it. And also for the class name, we will provide the class name for this one, which should be 36, and rounded should be full, because in some instances button category should be indifferent, but this one would be also different. And you need to understand what kind of things we're gonna render. First it's gonna be button. Once you add it to the card, you can see it's change. So button, this is the first instances it will be there. Later on it will automatically change in a certain motion, and we're gonna just render around the first instances. Whenever we're gonna having the property and others, we're gonna render all of that. So should be add to cart. You can also use the button, whatever the button we have from that Shadcn UI, but I'll go with a normal flavor, like whatever the default button parameter we can render and we can provide. And also before the button we should be having that shopping cart icon, and that icon we're gonna provide a size of let's say 16, and also put a class name, margin right should be 2, so putting a bit of gap in between. Now over here in the button, put a class name, and that class name should be coming with the CN property, and then taking the class. Okay, we didn't take the props, so we need to take that 2 property over here. So one should be the product, and the product should be the as a type of product, and then should be coming the props. So not the product but the props. And first it's gonna provide that product, then also it's gonna capture the class name. So we're gonna provide the class name as the default criteria of the class name. Then we're gonna make that one to be initialized in a proper way, in a good manner. So width by default it's gonna be full width, and padding Y should be 2, padding X should be 4, and BJ take orange should be there, and also text should be take white. And after that we're gonna make it rounded, so that I think rounded full, or we can just simply pass rounded. Automatically it's gonna capture that as the instance of rounded full. We're gonna make it a flex, item should be center, and justify should be center, to be center aligned together. And then once we are hovering on that, BJ should be, let's say BJ should be take orange, and we're gonna provide that of that 90% opacity. You're gonna pass that hover effect parameter, so that as you can see we are now happen to be creating that very good instances. We are having our product. Of course, there is a lot of things we need to capture, but we're gonna go one by one separately because it's gonna be a long level of the video. And if you can complete the entire video, you are welcome that you did a marvelous job and you are a step away to do any kind of e-commerce productivity website. So now what we need to do is that as we did that, so we need to go with the shop by brand property. Shop by brand component, it will be similar of that. As you can see, the brand hovering effect going to be there, and upon clicking on that particular brand, it's gonna directly lead us to that segment here where we're gonna have all the filter, status and others. And to initialize this one, particularly over here within our page right there, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a component which will be shop by brands, and this component is only for our home. So you're gonna create with the home. So shop by brands.tsx. So now we're gonna get our relative shop by brand productivity. So let's just bring that here, shop by brands. So now we are having that instances where we can see available data layer for the shop by brands. So let's go back here, and instead of the div, we can just simply use the container, but I think we are already within the container. No, not. So we can manually inject the container layer here. Okay, and after the container, we're gonna provide a div section here. So let's put a div. Okay, not div, so should be div. And over here, we're gonna take back our title, which gonna combine that saying shop by, let's say okay, let's say shop by brands. That's it. So we're gonna also make some class name for that. So margin top should be 10, and we're gonna make that for the bigger devices. Margin top should be 20, and BJ should be take white background color, and padding should be 5. And of course, for LG screen, I'm gonna provide a padding with which will be 7, and rounded should be empty. Now those kind of class name you can initialize or substantialize the way you preferring for your own scenario, but for me those things is working perfectly fine and aligned, so that I'm keeping that. Now whatever you want to follow, you can make it manually. After that, what we are having here, we have that view all button, which gonna compress everything, should be passing that on that view all property. Here we're gonna take simply a link which is gonna come from the next link, and that should be view all. And on the view all, we're gonna provide an href, and that href we're gonna just pass that to shop. And of course, we need to make some class name for that. I'm gonna provide extra small text. Font should be, let's say, semi bold. Tracking should be wide, and also once we're gonna hover on that, text should be, let's say, I'm gonna make that text text should be, let's say, tech. I'm gonna make it dark red, and I'm gonna make it hover effect. So you're gonna find a slight little effect going on, you see that one. And to make this one looks much more better, put a flex, item should be center, and I'm going to provide a gap of 5 if in case it's just collaborating together, so at least minimum gap instances there. But first foremost, it's not recurring that much. And margin bottom, I'm going to provide a 10 of the bottom parameter, because right now what we're going to do, we're going to bring back our bands. Now to bringing the brands, it's typically we need to do a lot of work, because yeah, we are having that our segment, especially for our in here in the sanity, I think in the queries we have the query, and also we're having the index. So right now what you need to do, we need to get our brands query by which we can grab the brand, and you know it will be a very simple query by which we can just grab all the brands. So should be, let's say, const, and that would be, I'm gonna provide that query name, which will be nds brands underscore query. So yeah, and that query should be a similar query of the previous one, should be, let's say, define query, and over there we're gonna define a simple instances, which going to be, let's say, we're gonna put in star mark, then the curly like the third bracket, and first we're gonna define our type, and type should be is equal to, we need to provide the type which going to be a brand. That would be the type over here. And of course we're gonna use the initialization here, should be order, and we want order which gonna be name ascending. That's it. So that's gonna directly provide our entire band segment. So this is the one line of code which gonna help us to get back our bands query from our root. So whatever the type we have the brand, and especially if we get back to our bands query, let's say bands type should be there. If we go back to our type at the root, you can say the name is the brand, so you need to match that similar name, otherwise you will not get the product, or maybe you're gonna run through a minor error which you don't want to do it. So now as we are having the query, we're gonna simply just pass that query here, so the brands query. Again, if you don't feel that way, you can directly run everything right here as we did at the top. It doesn't mean you need to follow whatever I do. You can follow your own segment, you can follow your own structure, so you are welcome if you can follow and you can do it. But for me, as I'm doing constantly, if you're following my for the YouTube channel, I'm constantly making a lot of a long video and complex coding here, especially for the e-commerce. So I predefine myself to creating like that way. So if I'm missing something, I can check only one single line in the export value from where its export is done, and then I can individually go through and find the problem instead of just looking for every single line of there. So that's what I prefer, but maybe you can prefer your own scenario if you wanted to. That's what I said. There is now lots of AI variant there, and everything is there to help you out to that. Now I'm gonna go with a similar try catch property, and the console log, we can just I think this console we can actually manually make and declare it one side, then we can go that. So yeah, so now that should be error fetching. Let's say that would be brands data. Okay, brands data. And now in the try, I'm gonna just pass that data ratio, and that data should be within an object, because in return it's gonna pass the data. So await sanity fetch, and from the fetch, what we're gonna do, we're gonna pass the query, and that query should be a brands query, no other parameter, like whatever the parameter which we passed before, the params and others, so it will not be there. Now if data is there, okay, fine, otherwise just return an empty array. So I'm gonna just pass that function from here, which is going to be get all brands. That's it. So now our function is ready. So shop by brands, and of course as the function is already asynchronous, so I need to make it an async here. So it should be const brands is equal to await get all brands. Just pass the simple function, and over here we're gonna just simply okay, I think not here, we're gonna just simply log to see if we are receiving the brands or not. I'm gonna make it bigger, and you're gonna see we have all available brands data. If you didn't upload it to your brands, just upload, and you can use your own image, or you can use the image which is already available in the directory. So now we need to map through our brands. So after the div, I'm gonna take another div here, and over here I'm gonna make that a brands.map. And whenever we are mapping, I'm gonna project everything should be coming as a brand, and after that we are just needed to be return that particular parameter. And I think every single brand, it will be just type as brand, yeah, so the error, it will disappear. Then it will just make a clickable link here, and on the link we're gonna have that, let's say, because we want to show the image. So if the image is only available, then I want to render the image component from next image. And on the source, we're going to define the source parameter, which should be, you remember that URL4. Now we are using Next.js, so no need to drag and through that image property. And over there, we're going to just simply pass that brand.image dot I think brand.image, yeah, no need to add a dot parameter, and we will just define that URL. That's it. So now we already got the things which we are looking forward to. Now we can easily considerably down all other parameter. And also here put the alternative I'm gonna put in first an alt tag, which gonna be, let's say, brand image, and then put a class name. And the class name, I want to go with the background color should be, let's say, it should be, I think, take white. Yes. And whenever hover, I want to pass a border, so border and hover should be, let's say, and then we need to also make okay, why we're doing that? No, it should not be there. I just need to provide a width of 32 and height of 32. So just normal width height and object contain. Yeah. So object contain. Okay, that's it. Now of course we need to provide the link for that. So let's say an href, and that href I'm going to pass directly with a path name parameter. The path name I want to go back to /shop, and I want to take a query parameter here. So the query should be and the name of brand, we're going to pass that brand.slack.current. So that's the query we are going to pass like all together. So now we are having that, and as you can see for the particular like each child we need to provide a key prop. So we're gonna provide the key should be brand.id. So that's the one should be the ID. And another typical error we can find, even though that we didn't hide for that image, you can see. So this the loving thing is for the Next.js is already making it very easier to providing you almost all of the error. So I'm gonna provide the image for not the width, and I'm gonna get that height 250 and 250 by 250. So that will be the image ratio which I'm gonna get for our brand. So you can see all the brand images is right here. Now what I'm gonna do for that one, put a class name. I'm gonna make it big. Background color should be it's already particularly getting white, so no need to get the white color. But some banner, yeah, all are transparent, so no need to get the white color. I'm gonna provide a border. And what I'm gonna do after putting the border, you can see right now, is it getting the border? Yeah, it will. Okay, I think I click on something. Yeah, there is the border. So first instances over here on that top layer of the div, I want to make that one looks better. First flex item should be center. I'm gonna provide a gap of 2.5, and then justify, I'm gonna make it between. Yeah, so now you can see there is altogether the brand property is just showcasing. And on that brand instances, whenever we hover, there should be some of that classical things over here. We need to make that one looks a slightly bit of things the way we are looking forward to. Okay, so this the all. After that, we need to go to make some of that ratio here. So border, once we hover, okay, not something like that, should be whenever we hover, I want to border should be, let's say, I want that dark red, and provide a width of 36, so it will be extra strict with a particular width, height of 24. Flex item should be center, justify should be center, rounded should be MD, overflow should be hidden, and I'm gonna make that as an hover effect just to get everything in line. Now as you can see, everything good to go. And if you just go in a smaller screen, you can see this is not look so nice, and the same mistake I think we are having at over here, but now we can fix that as we know. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna just make that flex wrap. So it's gonna wrap through to sympathize mixing all the spaces, you can see right here. So it's flexing, and I'm gonna just make that for MD. Okay, or I can just make that for LG. So that's how it gonna actually be taking a place. And the most part of that, instead of doing, you can see we did the flex, but instead of the flex, we can go in a very simple way which can be much more predictable. We can make that grid, and first of all we can go for the grid calls too. MD should be grid calls, let's say 4, and LG should be, let's say, I'm gonna just go with that grid calls of 8. That's it. So now in these instances, you can see it will be a proper circulation of that segment. So we can also go with like say 3. I think that would be perfect. Okay, cool. So now if you go at the top layer, you can see you have a very better version which you cannot see in the production layer, because there is some mistake whenever we are building in the production layer. But if you're purchasing that, that should be out of that error, and you can get everything in a perfect way. So it's up to you if you're gonna go that, or you're gonna just go stay with me. So now after the segment here, we need to get this attachment for us to make things, to make the direction in action. So this is now is going to be, if you just click here, of course that will be a 404 page because it didn't create the page, but you know what it's gonna do. So now let's go to create the segment here by which we can show the other productivity. So first of all, remember the data layer, we're gonna just create an array of data here. So that would be a very easy way to go. So that would be an extra data layer which gonna combine the all together, which I'm gonna just import the icon first, then I'm gonna show what's actually we are covering there. Then as you can see, this extra layer of data gonna provide a boost. First is the free delivery, free shipping over $100, and having the truck icon and providing the size, free return, free shipping over 100, and then same customer support 24, that 24 not 27/7, 24/7. I think in the production we have 27/7. Okay, you people didn't nobody actually got that idea that we have some minor mistake. Now money back guarantee. Okay, that's cool. So now we are having our data. You also can create, or you can directly, because whenever you are mapping the JavaScript, it's not good for SEO if it's a larger length, but our is just a few length, so it will not be a problem for that particular instances. So now let's go back to extra data dot map, and for every single thing I'm going to provide that item, and also I'm going to take an index just to provide the key. So you can do in that way also. So over here for the key, I'm going to provide the index as it gonna acting as a key. So every single array value have a separate like an unique index parameter. Then first we're gonna take the span, which going to passing that item dot icon, and let's hit save. So we should be able to see that icon parameters, and over here put a flex, I'm going to provide a grid, and the grid calls by default would be 1, and let's say for small devices grid calls should be 2, and for LG devices grid calls should be 4, and then we're gonna go with a gap of 5, and then margin top should be 16, which should be better. Padding should be 2, and I'm gonna provide a shadow of extra small shadow, and then shadow should be anyway, just keep the default shadow. We're gonna see if we just forecast here, we are having a very slight shadow. So yeah, without shadow also, I think no need that shadow. I don't want to see the shadow, so we're gonna change some of the parameter. Okay, cool. So now we're not having any shadow. Now over here, what we're gonna do, put a class name, everything gonna be on flex, and before that I'm gonna provide other parameter also, so it can be easily visualized. Then after span tag would be a div, a p tag going to be, let's say, item dot title, and then another p tag which going to be, let's say, item dot description. So the all things is coming all together. For this one, class name should be text, small text. And over there for that p here, put a class name, text should be, let's say, tech. I think we're gonna make the dark color, and that should be an 80% opacity. Font should be bold, and I'm gonna make it as capitalized, so everything is in a bigger letter. Now over here for description, class name text should be tech light color. So do you have that light color? Tech light color, yeah, that's the one. Now what you're gonna do, as you can see here, we put the flex, and after that item should be center, put a gap of 3, and text should be, now I don't want to provide the text as we defined already, hover, and we can make that I'm gonna just go with a border. I think that would be fine. There's a border, so everything gonna have a border, and then provide a padding of, let's say, 2, just to see. Yeah, rounded MD, and hover border should be, let's say, I'm going to provide the same green color and provide a hover effect. So instead of the text, it will be very fancy. You see? Okay, cool. So that is kind of things which can really make a healthy progressive view. So now, yeah, that's good. Also, you can attach more, like you can make it px. I think we're gonna go for a px5. Yes. Okay, padding x5, and padding y should be, let's say, I'm gonna provide is 3. So yeah, that looks much better. So I think what we're building right now is getting better shape than whatever we already deployed in there. So now we need to go and provide our block segment, where we're gonna have all the latest block parameter is done. So that's also be a pretty cool statement, and it's a very good it should be a good structure to go and carry on. And to do that, we are going to go in our, again, for especially as we are getting back to the latest blog here in the home, so should be latest blog dot tsx array fce, and as you can see, building with TypeScript is a bit of a very easy, and it's not making things much more complicated. It's getting a very easy way, but it has its own way which we need to combine. So now for the block statement, of course, again we are still going to get back to our container here. So it should be container, and after getting container, we need to provide the similar of the div which we provided here in the shop by brand. So I can simply just capture that, copy that, and we are just gonna pass that here, and need to provide the title, and also need to bring back the link. So now you can see total enrichment what we are following here, and of course there need to be something which we miss, which need to be get especially all the things for the container. So I'm going to copy and paste it here. So now we should be able to see every single statement. Shop by brand, view all, that should be latest blog, view all. So we need to just change that. So should be latest blog, and the view all should be just taking back to our blog page. That's it. So now we are having that. Now we need to get our old blog statement, and to get the blog statement, again we need to go and define our query. So I'm gonna just go in a very simple way so that you know how we are doing that, and especially I can copy paste every single query, but no, I want to go one by one so that it can be easily understand what and why we are doing that. Now over here we are having the latest block query, and it's gonna take every single block from there, but it's gonna check if its latest is true or not. If it's there, then it's gonna get that name is sending and getting everything, and also it's decipher the block categories. Especially as you can see, we are having all the block category segments. So what it's gonna do, it's gonna go one layer. First it's gonna provide all the block parameter, whatever the parameter we are having in a particular block, it's gonna provide back to us. Then it's gonna do something more, that it's gonna go and within, like if you didn't do that, you will not get back the title, because the relation between here is that just passing that comparison, the connectivity whatever we have with the block categories. If you didn't decipher like that, you will not get back the title. So that's the why we need to go and specify from the blog. Within the blog, I have a connection with the block categories, which is the different schema, and from that schema provide me that title. So that's what we are actually passing, that it can be also predefined and provide the value to us. So yeah, done. And on that particular index here, so now we can write our functionality, and that also it's gonna be a simple function which we did at the top already, and that will define just a query here, because it's a very legitimate query. We're gonna get the function get latest blocks, and over here we're gonna get the data from that query, which is we are passing that latest block query. It's having data, okay, otherwise empty. Then the console also error fetching all brands. That's it. So now we can just simply pass that get latest blocks. Okay, now our function is ready, so it's all ready to be here to provide the data layer. And of course we need to make the async parameter. And by the way, as you can see, our entire home page, whatever we are running here, entire home page, it's gonna be a static rendered, because we are almost providing the server side rendering. Especially as you can see in the card, we have client side rendering where the tiny function gonna run whenever we are adding to the card. So we are making most of using our server, which can be very helpful if you are doing a very perfect application, which can be going to be for the SEO SEO generation and others. And how you can confirm the SEO, if you doesn't have the idea, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna make a separate video to just circulate all the SEO parameters which can be or happen to be configured within the Next.js project. Okay, so now we have that parameter. So what we can do, we can simply call back our data here, which going to be, let's say it's gonna coming const blocks is equal to get latest blocks. That's it. I don't want to be a console log, because I know it's already there. Did you remove the console log here? Yeah, we removed that. So I know the data is right there. So it's just a blind trust. Let's just see if we are in mistaken. So after that view all, after the div, I'm going to take another div here. So there I'm going to go with that blocks dot, let's say I'm going to go with the map. Let's say blocks dot map, every single thing I'm going to go with block. Okay, you see that little bit await The problem is, the best thing is that I have the TypeScript to barking on that you are having some problem. So every single block should be a block type here, and from there I need to define a simple, I'm going to return a simple div here, and on that div I'm going to provide another div, and over here we're going to just render our block image first. So block dot, if this block having the main image, only then I want to render it. So and that render should be coming from the link, because whenever we are going to click on that, it gonna just individually passing that to particular block segment. Not like that, should be image, and you need to be check that like that import I have the lucid rate and other everything is configured, so it's coming using that casing, letter casing. So the next is coming underneath of lucid, so you need to be careful once you are importing that, otherwise maybe you're gonna find a lot of error which you don't know how from where it's coming. So for the source, which is going to be, let's say, url4, and that url4 gonna come for block, let's say block dot main image, and then we're gonna just from there we're gonna get back our URL. That's it. And after that we need to provide some more data here. We're gonna provide an alt tag which should be, let's say, block image, and then we're gonna provide a width of, I'm gonna take 500 by 500, so that would be my ratio to bring back the image. And for the class name, I'm going to provide a width of full and height of full, and should be object should be, let's say, I'm going to make it its cover, so the image gonna be looks much more better. And whenever I'm going to hover on the group, so group hover, I'm going to make it a scale of 105, and of course I'm going to pass that hover effect. And before saving that, I want to pass that statement here, that href, which is going to be coming like that. And of course, no, I think we can directly go within this parameter, so that would be similar like that, should be block. And over there we can simply go with that, let's say block dot slack dot current. That's it. Now of course we missed one a bit, which going to be providing the key, should be block dot id. That's it. So now as you can see, we are having our block, but we need to make it looks better and similar as what we have right now. To do that, provide a grid pattern. I really love that grid. So this is very simple way to make that complex responsiveness in a very unique way. MD should be grid calls of 2, and for the LG, grid calls of 4. And of course we're going to provide a gap of 2.5, and then margin top should be, let's say, we're providing 5 gap for there. You can see it looks better, but the image is not actual size for all. It because we are in the image, we're getting width and height full, but in our top layer we didn't provide any width and height, so we need to provide a width of full width, height should be 64, and then overflow should be hidden. And of course we're gonna make these things as a group, so put a class name, I'm gonna make it as group. What is gonna happen on the hover, you can see that's the animation what we are looking forward and we are having right now. And over here we're gonna make some of the more class name. We're gonna make that rounded MD, overflow should be hidden, and then I'm gonna provide a border should be sharp dark green, so should be border sharp okay, it's not coming. Let's say border sharp. Okay, I'm gonna manually type that. No, did we have that? Let's say globals, and in the globals did we have that green color? Okay, yeah, we have, but okay, tech color is getting there, I think. Yeah, shop tech color, so tech green. Okay, I'm gonna copy that. Okay, let's bring that here, shop dark green, and then also I'm gonna provide a 10% opacity on the hover. Border should be green, and yeah, light green, and we're gonna make that as a hover effect. So this is gonna be something like that. Yeah, cool. I think this not making that much defect here, but it's gonna be once we are going at the bottom. Now after that div here, so after finishing that image property, we should be generating another portion here. So after the div, we're gonna render one more div here, which gonna contain all the other parameter, then another div, then we're gonna go one more div. First you're gonna go block dot categories, if we, and then we're gonna map through it because it's gonna coming through as an array. So item, and then we're gonna just make that index, and from there we're gonna simply return a p tag which gonna pass that, let's say, item dot title. Okay, that would be the actual data layer. Of course there is coming an error, we're gonna fix that. So key should be index, index, that's it. Now let's see, we are having the lifestyle data. So now what we can do, we can just directly jump to the block, and as you can see for the block categories we are not having that. So we can just simply pass that title, and the title, if it's there, it should be a string property. That's it. So we manually can render the type wherever we are needing that one. Okay, now what we're gonna do for the div here at the top layer, with a class name, I'm gonna provide a padding of 5. I think our entire div ratio didn't get the, yeah, I think we didn't get the okay, did we get the border? Oh, we didn't define the border. Yeah, first we need to define the border, otherwise the border it will not capture. So the border should be, let's say it's gonna be 10% of opacity, or we can just provide little bit more, about 20. Okay, cool. So now it looks a bit of nicer. Now what you're gonna do, so that's the ratio here, then we're gonna provide a text should be extra small, and then should be flex, item should be center, provide a gap of 5. That's it. Now we are having our that parameter, provide a class name, flex if that is having the multiple item, make it a relative. I think yeah, I'm gonna just keep like that. And for that parameter we can just simply put a class name, and over there the font should be semi bold, so that bit of little bit a nice alignment will be there. Text should be, let's say, dark green. I think I'm gonna provide green text. I think that's the same scenario which you, no, not that, we're providing the dark text. There. Okay, if we go in global we have that. Okay, take dark, we have dark text, yes. Okay, yeah, we're having the dark text. And then we can just make a tracking should be white, so tracking should be white. And of course we are just, yeah, similar like that. I don't want to make a lot of things, and we're gonna make it as relative. I think, yeah, relative, it will go good. Yeah, relative. So we have the block categories, and after running that we're gonna also taking a self-closing span parameter, span, and that span, now I'm gonna just provide you bit of class name here, so that it's gonna be easily extensible. And what actually is that, you can see there is that, so this is the one which once you hover you can see that's just having an absolute value, left 0, bottom 1.5, background color take orange 30%, inline block with full height 2 px, group hover background color providing the color which is coming from the opacity, and cursor pointer hover effect. So that's the one which is happening right here. Now after that we are, after finishing that particular like div, we're gonna have another p tag, and over the p tag we're gonna have a calendar icon, calendar. And after the calendar icon we're gonna have a, let's say, gonna provide a day.js. Did we have the day.js? No, it doesn't have the day.js, so we need to import the day.js to run that application layer. So I'm gonna go just simply, you can also check with that npm, and then you can simply try that day.js. This is a very tiny bit of application which are gonna combine all of your for the date situation is gonna be make better, 27 million download. So it's a very reliable, and I really love to use that. It's bit of tiny and very simple to use. So after installing we need to import it, should be import day.js from, let's say it's gonna be coming from day.js. Okay, and after that I think we already have that, maybe. Yeah. Okay, so now what we're gonna do here, so it's gonna be basically providing the type. So we have JS, then now we need to define the type. We have the type from that block dot, we're gonna having that publish at, and we're gonna provide that format. And in the format, we're gonna provide whatever the format we want to follow. So in the format section, we're gonna provide the month. So the month should be coming there, then the date, and then we're gonna coming for the year. That's it. So it's gonna render the full year scale. So you can see February 19, 2025. So that's the one which we are looking forward to. Now for the calendar icon size, I'm gonna provide a 15 size. By default is coming as 20 maybe, or 18. So put a class name. We're gonna make it flex. Item should be center, and then gap should be 1. Looks bit of nice and clean, and the text should be, I think, light color, and I'm gonna make it as a relative. And over there, once we hover, I'm going to provide a cursor pointer. I think that's not require, it's relative enough. And once we, yeah, that would be fine. The relative, it will be enough, because as you can see, after that relative segment, we are going to bring back the same segment here from, especially after that p tag. I think after the, within the p tag, we want to render that segment, which is going to be that span. That's why we make it as relative. So now as you can see, okay, same data ratio. So this is what we are doing. Yeah, you can also change the color if you wanted to. It's up to you. Okay, now what you're gonna do, as we did that portion properly, now after that particular div, we're gonna have another link parameter, and there itself we're gonna provide blog dot title. So we're gonna just provide the name of our blog, and in that href we need to provide the similar href. Remember, at the href which we just created at the top on the image particularly. So that is, we didn't create that. Are you sure? Yeah, we create that. That should be in the image. I'm just gonna copy that, and then just gonna passing it right here. So we are having that. Now the title gonna render properly. So for this title, we need to make it looks bit of nice and clean, and to do that, we are going to do some sort of segment. So this is our link here. For the class name, text should be base, and font should be, let's say, bold, and tracking should be white, empty should be 5. And then line clamp, I'm going to provide a 2 of line clamp, maximum 2 line it can capture. And once we make that hover, text should be take orange, and we're going to pass that hover effect. That's it. So now if we come here, click like that, you can see it just passing that. I think that's the same effect which is just rendering here. So now this is a very complex build-up scenario which we have been seeing so far, and now we have been done also. Now this is the time we can capture to just go through to build up our footer, which would be a pretty similar. And for the footer, it's gonna be a very simple way. So I don't want to make that complex scenario. Now you know how you can capture and how you can that's kind of bit of things I want to test you so that you can try it yourself. So now I'm not gonna provide that much of that. For the footer, I'm gonna skip a lot of things. I want you to try. Okay, so we are already having a footer. So let's say footer. So in the footer, we're gonna having a footer top. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in the common. Let's go back to make that footer top top.tsx. And over here, I'm going to just combine whatever the footer top value I'm looking forward to. And what we did, again, what I said, I'm going to go a little bit faster. So you need to combine how you want to make that things to happen. In the footer, what we did, we are combining a data which going to be passing as a contact item data, having the title, subtitle, and icon, visit us, subtitle, having your address, having the call us platform, having the working hours, having the email us, and you can provide the email. So we have the footer top component. We are mapping through every single data here, and that is the contact item over here. We're providing the icon. Then after the icon, the same thing, we should after the icon, we're having the text and description, title and description together at that flex properties. So you have title, we have content, compressing together in that same ratio. And over there, as you can see, we provide a grid columns 2 and MD, which is, I think for MD is not required. By default, it's gonna take 2. Then LG is 4, gap for 8, border B. That's the what we are providing here. Now after that, we're gonna just simply call that footer, let's say footer top. That's it. So now we should be able to get back our footer top within our footer parameter, but we're not getting the way we are preferring it because it's not the way it's coming. You can see the maximum width height is not working. So now we need to combine some of the things to make it look nicer and feel it better. And how we can do that? So instead of providing that, we can simply take the footer. Okay, that should be the footer icon, and instead of passing that, we can simply take back our container. So in the container, we're gonna pass our footer. So on the footer, we're gonna provide a class name. Background color should be, let's say, white color, and I'm gonna make a border T. So a top level border, it will be there, a slight border, as you can see also it's right here, but you can provide the color, but I will not provide any color right now. And now you can see all the border segment is looks better and perfect. Now we're gonna capture our main concept. So that would be the main concept here. And first I'm gonna take another one. So we're gonna provide the logo, and after the logo we're gonna have a p tag which gonna say discover, and that should be curated furniture, or curated I think curated product collections at, let's say, should be shop tech, blending style and comfort to elevate your okay, where is the T for or the comfort, and comfort to elevate your needs. I think that would be fine. If we feel that is okay. So now we should be able to see this is just rendering. I think we need to make something better. So we're gonna go over here, put a class name. Padding wise should be, I'm gonna provide a 12 of padding. I'm gonna provide a grid, and grid column should be by default 1. MD should be grid calls of 2, and LG grid calls of 4. And I'm going to provide a gap of 8. That's it. So now you would be able to see the item, and just to make things bit of clearer so that you can easily I think this div should be coming, this entire div gonna jump within that container. Yeah, that should be the layer. So now you can see that is just moving there, and after that we're gonna have that social media link. So again, the same thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna just wrap that social media link for you so that you can combine your own social media link. So in the social media link, of course, you can see I need to provide my tooltip here. So let's just go and combine, should be npx Shadcn at, should be, let's say, tooltip. And the tooltip is happening, as you can see, on hover is providing the Slack, Facebook, the name. That's why we are using the tooltip. Now for the social link, what we did here, as you can see, is combining it all together. We're providing a social link parameter, title, href, icon. So I provide a similar href for every single thing. Feel free to go there and subscribe the channel if you didn't do so, and please to like the video. And if you want to purchase the product link already attached, just click and you can one-time purchase the entire code from there, or you can support me by using the link from the buy me a coffee. So now over here, GitHub, LinkedIn, Facebook, Slack, all the icon is there, then providing the similar pattern of the social media. Then we are wrapping that as a tooltip provider. In the social media link, we are just hovering, mapping through it. We're getting everything as child, then providing the value. That's it. And we're using the href. You can also use that for the link. The similar work it gonna do if you want that link or href, doesn't matter. Okay, the tooltip is not okay, it's not capturing. I think I need to just import again. So let's go here, providing the tooltip provider, not from there, tooltip provider gonna be coming from, and then the tooltip. And if you're still having confused that how I'm doing that, don't worry, the code it will be with you. But I want you to try that you build this entire structure for the footer, only for the footer. Trust me, all the other component, all the parameter, I will do side by side to you. I want you to try that footer segment. That's what I prefer. So if you cannot try, you can get the code, because I'm going to provide the code right here. So now for the social media, I'm going to just, after the p tag, cover that social media. And from the social media, there should be taking a lot of parameter. First, I'm going to just hit save just to see how it's coming. And after coming, you should be having, you can see the style is not capturing, because in the social media we have a different structure, different class name is providing here, which gonna be like that. So we can now, as you can see, we can also pass the class name, icon class name, tooltip class name. So we can now provide whatever class name we wanted to provide. So we are gonna provide that. We can provide for the text, which gonna be that. We can provide the icon class name, we can provide the tooltip class name. So you can try, I did it for that one, you can try to compile it the way you are looking forward to. So now for the div itself, put an space y should be 4. That's it. So provide a little bit of clingy gap over there. And for the logo, put a class name that should be, which should be, let's say 40, and MB should be, let's say, I'm going to provide a margin bottom of 4. And for the p tag here, put a class name that should be, text should be, I'm going to provide a gray of 600, or we can just simply go with that light text color, and then text should be a small text. That's it. Looks nice and clean. Now we need to have this again, the quick links parameter. For the quick links, what we need to do is that we need to have something called in the quick links we are having two parameter, quick links and categories. So we should be having two separate parameter, which we're gonna just go and grab that. So let's go back to our constant where we have that index. We didn't have the constant folder. Did we have that? So I'm gonna shrink a bit. No, it doesn't have that. So I'm gonna create a folder at the root. So we're gonna have that constants, and here we're gonna just simply take a file data.ts, and right now I'm gonna provide the data for the quick links, which gonna be something like that. And in the quick links we are getting the about us, /about, contact us, contact, terms, privacy, facts, help. And for the categories we're getting the mobiles, and this is the categories which we really needed whenever we're gonna just get back the data from there. So now what we're gonna do after rendering that to segment, again, I'm gonna just do that things for you, so that I want you to do that. Okay, so now this is the first div which we are compiling that. Now we're gonna have two separate div. First one which gonna just go render the category data, and of course we need to import the link itself here. Then again we need to also get back the quick link data. Now in that particular statement here, so I think it will be available soon, or if we just reload, why it's not rendering. Now what is happening for the first one, we're providing an quick links text. You can also use your title card here, and in the UL we're providing that quick links data over here, and from the data we are providing that li, we having the link item, which gonna be just providing the link parameter. And a similar thing, whatever design we did for that, the same thing we did here also. So in a simple frame, whenever you hover, as you can see, that's just happening. This is simple structure which we did. And one more balance for the newsletter, again the same thing, I'm gonna drop that for you. So this is just I'm just playing with you, so no worries, try to take the challenge to finish this entire segment. And over here what we did, the same thing, the same ratio. Right now we are not let that email to work, but we're gonna make it happen to work. So over here what we did is that a newsletter title, the same title which you generated, subscribe to our newsletter to receive updates and offers, and then providing a form which gonna taking the input, and providing a button subscribe which having the title. Try to regenerate, try to make that things happen. I'll be very happy if you can do that for me. So now this is almost entire segment. So this is typically this top part and that part which I'm really wanted to that you can do it. So right now what we need to do, we need to do a tiny bit of another part. So we have the top, we have, now we need to go to make our bottom part, and over here I'm going to provide a p tag, so that should be providing the similar of that parameter. Then gonna be combined that we're gonna take the full year. Okay, so whatever the year we are right now, we can just go and capture. You see at 2025, instead of hard coding, it's gonna update every single year. So now I'm gonna provide a span tag which gonna be shop tag, shop t, and then we're gonna provide another span tag here which gonna say s h, so should be another span h. And after that, after this one should be at shop all rights, reserved. Okay, instead of p tag, I would love to have that a link parameter, and on that href we will provide a some of the link here. So instead of the p tag, we're going to provide a link tag here, and for that h1 we will make some of the class name to make it looks better. But before we're gonna go, we love to do that one, put a class name not like that. Class name padding y should be, let's say, 6, and I'm going to provide a border T, and text should be, let's say, center. Text should be small text, and text should be, I'm going to provide a light color of the text. So that should be similar what we are doing here. 2025 shop tech all rights reserved. So now we need to make this one looks a bit of nice and clean, and to do that, first one, as you can see, this is the combination we want to make some colorful design. So now first of all, for that link parameter, I think the link, it will have nothing in between. I'm going to provide everything on the span. So and the span should be text should be, let's say, take dark color, and font should be black, the extra after the extra bold, and the tracking should be wider, and then I'm gonna make everything as uppercase. Hover text should be, let's say, take orange color, and we're gonna pass that hover effect, and I'm gonna make it a group, and font should be sans, and that should be double F. So now you can see there is should be a sum of that shop tech sh, where is the o, show shop tech. I think something we are missing, which is, yeah, font sans is not taking. Anyway, we can go with that. So after that h1, put a class name. Text should be, let's say, take orange, and then group hover. Text should be take dark color, and we are going to make that hover effect. Okay, that's it. So now on the hover, as you can see, bit of slight combination, but I think it's doing the purposes. So we are good to go to make that, and we can combine that font sans, no worries, we can just predefine that one, but I think that would be fine if we can go like that. So now after that, I think font block. Okay, you can go, and of course I'm gonna just provide my domain here. So we can just simply, you can just simply click and get all the available properties right from here. So now if we just click like that, it's gonna just passing you within that parameter. You can link whatever the link you are preferring for your particular website. Now there is one more things happen to be here, which, as you can see, there is a 3 button ratio which we are typically toggling, and it's making look something very interesting, right? So this is a very sophisticated things which is making a tiny bit of things but looks better, and that should be coming only for the client page, not for the admin and others. So we need to be very careful once we are making that. So let's just go, we're gonna create that segment here. And to do that, first we're gonna close everything, and then we're gonna go in our common over here. We're gonna write that should be a cart menu.tsx rafce. So you're gonna pass our cart menu, and that cart menu from the app, from the client, and the layout. So this is the layout where we are justifying that one to be there, otherwise we're not gonna provide anywhere. So after the children, we're gonna pass that, let's say, gonna be cart menu. So we should be able to see one cart menu parameter here. You see the cart menu right here, it's just taking the place, but we need to make it like there. So we're gonna do that. And how we can do that? So first of all, it's gonna be a client side component, because once we click, a lot of things gonna happening. So without client side, we will not be able to do it. So first of all, I'm gonna make that one as a use client. So that would be the temporary things to make that things back to use client parameter. And after that, we're gonna have certain kind of things. Cons should be is open, and let's say set is open, and we're gonna make that use state, and by default I want to make it false. Now items, let's say I'm going to provide the items should be, let's say I'm going to provide the items of 5 right now, just to see how we can do that. And for Also, I'm gonna go, let's say, const favorite product should be, let's say, 3. So that's what I'm going to just initialize. I think we need to go like that, because those entire things gonna coming from the state. And also should be cart count. Let's say I'm gonna provide 2, so that's the cart count should be. And const wish list count should be 6. So that's the entire count segment. And of course, we're gonna also having a function, but before doing the function, we're gonna just make the things which gonna be enlightened to make things better. First of all, we need to provide the div in a very good way. For the class name, I'm gonna make it a fixed, and I'm gonna make it a bottom should be, let's say, 5, right should be 5, and then z should be 50, and flex items column, flex column, and item should be end, and I'm going to provide a gap of 2. So that should be our statement where it can be done. You can see the cart menu right here. And by the way, you can also make that, if you want, you can make it relative. By the way, it will get it by relative, so there would be no an issue. Now after that, we're gonna just render one button here. That button gonna contain that, let's say, because there should be a combination, but first we are going to provide that, let's say, a shopping cart. So to import that, we're gonna go with that shopping cart. So there would be an icon, as you can see, the shopping cart icon. And over here, after the icon, we're gonna having a, let's say, if we have that cart count, and we are gonna pass that a spend tag, which not like that, should be spend. Okay, not like that. Yeah, should be cart count. So right now we're gonna have to count here. Now what you're gonna do for that one, size should be 20, not 29, 20. And for this, first we're gonna go design the button, put a class name. BJ should be take orange, and text should be take white. And then a padding should be 3, rounded should be full, and after that shadow should be LG, so shadow LG. And of course hover BJ should be take, I think what the color we want it to be, I'm gonna make that one as dark color. Yeah, so that would be a very good solution. And we're gonna make that one as hover effect parameter, and I'm gonna make it as group. So right now you can see we have that, but we need to make that text to be appear in a better way. Put a class name, I'm gonna make it absolute, absolute, and then minus top should be 1. You can adjust whatever the parameter is working for you. Right should be 1, and BJ should be take dark, and text should be take white, and text should be extra small, and also width gonna provide 5, height gonna provide 5. And then I'm gonna make it a flex, item should be center, justify should be center, and rounded should be full. And then whenever I'm gonna hovering on the group, so group hover, BJ should be take orange, and I'm gonna pass that hover effect. Okay, so right now you can see we're having the same ratio. Now we need to create that. Once we click on see, okay, so that's the one we need to provide. Okay, so right now we are having a very good solution that, but whenever we have is open and then other property, we need to get a function should be running, right? So whenever we on click on that particular instances, we're gonna just simply run that. Let's say set is open should be coming, let's say is open, so it's gonna just make true false. So what we're gonna do, instead of this entire thing, we're gonna just cut that. If is open is there, then it's gonna having a cross icon, otherwise it's gonna have whatever okay, it's gonna have whatever we are providing. Okay, so the cross icon also provide the size going to be, let's say, similar, not scale, size should be 20. So the same thing, if we click, you can see, okay, click, 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 click. Now we need to provide that animation layer, whatever the way we can define those things. So to define that, first this button, after the button we need to have two parameters, two instances from framer motion, and we're going to import at the top. First is that motion, then another is that animate presence, by which we can declare that two instances. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna provide that animate presence, so animate presence, and over here, and I'm gonna provide a mode of wait. So the mode, it should wait, and over here we're gonna provide that if is open menu is there, only then it gonna render, right? And then it gonna coming with motion.div. And on that particular motion div, remember the way we define that. So I'm gonna go and click that. I'm gonna provide the button here, not like that. I think we should, anyway, we're gonna create one, or I think, yeah, we already have that. We already have that, so it's gonna just make that things done. So we can create a link, yeah. Excuse me. So in the link, we should be having a div, or you can also capture and span if you want, and also href. We are just gonna be passing to be there at cart icon, because the first one is gonna be cart, and on the div we should be having a shopping cart icon. So let's say shopping cart, and after that value the same thing. So the similar pattern which we are going to follow here, we're gonna make that. So I'm gonna copy that. Instead of that div, we can just simply pass that instances. Okay, so right now if we click, okay, it's just excelling that. You can see it's rendering. So if you click, you can see it's right there. So now we need to make some advancement with the class name. So right now what we're having, we're actually having the segment by which it can generate. So we are having, if we are having the card icon, and now we are having that motion div, but we need to work a bit on that particular scenario of that. So right now, instead of that, I'm going to render a div here. On the div, I'm going to provide a class name, and that class name going to contain for that, I believe that would be the same, but that class name gonna contain whatever the class name we are providing here for the button. I think so. I will try. If it's just missing that, then okay, I think I need to close it. I didn't copy it properly, maybe. So yeah, so should be okay. Anyway, I'm gonna copy again. So this is the one which we are following, so that this much we need, and from there we can just simply paste this much. Okay, okay, cool. So now as you can see, okay, the same thing you can see. Okay, but now we need to change some of the interceptor, some of the color scenario. The text should be, let's say, should be tag underscore dark. Okay, so that's the text we're gonna use. And also whenever we are hovering, we want that one should be tag orange. Okay, should be bj tag orange. So that is the combination which we are looking for. As you can see, once you hover, it's just capturing the similar thing. It just happened to be there. And of course that animation you're gonna see later on, because we need to provide some initial ratio. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and bring back, because we just need to copy paste and then change the link, right? So the same thing, it can be done. You need to change the icon for the heart icon, also for the chart icon too. And we need to have a clickable function, and that clickable function, it's just gonna run that simple function over here, which gonna make that set is open as false. Whenever we click that, like if we don't do that, what it gonna happen, then first I'm gonna just make that one, so which it's not going to be there. Okay, so later on we're gonna combine, so that you're gonna understand why we created it at the first hand. So just like that. Now if we click, you can see all menu is right there. Now we need to provide a proper bit of animation. Put a class name, we're gonna make it a flex column, and then provide a gap of 2, and margin bottom should be coming as 2. Done. So you can see this is a very quite space there. Then now, as it's having a motion div, we're gonna provide that initial value should be coming as, let's say, opacity should be 0, and then y should be coming as 20. Opacity gonna be clone 0. Okay, that should be our initial value, and once animate on that particular instances, that time we want that opacity should be 1 and y should be 0 to be coming on that space there, and whenever it's gonna be exceed on that, opacity should be, let's say, 0, and then y should be 20, so it's gonna having a bit of very enter animation effect. And for that I'm gonna use that transition, and over the transition, let's say duration, you're gonna provide a 0.3, so a 3 millisecond duration gonna be combining there, so like that you can see. Now once we click at, as you can see, we click on particularly as for, okay, right now it doesn't have that, so I'm gonna just create a simple page here. So let's say just create a cart. Actually cart, it will not be here, so I'm gonna just create a test page here in the client. Let's say I'm gonna just make that cart page.tsx rfce cart page. So now if we just click on that particular instances, it's gonna bring back to my cart page, but it's not close. So this is not a good practice to have that. So of course I don't want that cart page to be aligned there, so I'm gonna remove that because I'm gonna having my admin to do that trick. So that's why we are just using that function, handle on click function for everyone. So on click should be handle okay, should be on click, should be passing that handle click function for everybody. So now I'm going to copy that portion, and of course I'm going to provide that for the wish list, and of course I'm going to provide that for the compare. So now you can see we are like we did that. Our homepage is done entirely, and it's a pretty better shape so that it can be really amazingly aligned together. So after, as we did the homepage, now we can need to do some more pages which can be coming for the single page, for the single product page, then also coming for the particularly for, as you can see, for the sorting page like the filter. So this page and this page is now the two topmost priority. After this two page, we need to combine that our authentication and store, then we're gonna go and provide all the scenario to finish that our entire website together.